Good morning, Lafayette. Man, what a morning it is out and about the local area. If you are around, the good news was a lot of the snow overnight, which we weren't expecting a lot anyway. Just a couple flurries really is all we ended up seeing from the first wave of weather that moved through. And we are in tap though for some more snow potentially. Just nothing real heavy is what it looks like on the front coming through for us in the next 24 hours to 36 hours. I'll get into all of that here pretty soon. But, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Lafayette. I'm your host, Brian Burden. I'm a meteorologist. I happen to be forecasting weather all the time. And for the last 40 years of my life, between WLFI, going to Antarctica, military, all that stuff, I've got an extensive history, so to speak, of weather forecasting. So we're going to talk all kinds of things here on Let's Talk Lafayette, your go-to local podcast, broadcasting from the heart of Tippecanoe County, home to the vibrant Purdue University campus and our Boilermaker spirit. Yep, I'm your host, Duck Course, and I call myself, so I'm a meteorologist by trade, but I'm a pastor at heart, and I'm here to bring you the latest on what's happening in our community across the nation and around the globe. So there is a lot going on. We're going to try to cover a little bit of everything today. Obviously, I'm going to do a lot of weather information as we kick off this January 16th, 2026 episode. Let's start with the weather, of course. It's a little chilly out there right now. It is going to warm up a little bit, get near normal to above normal as the day goes on. And there's just so many different things going on between Purdue basketball tomorrow, things that happen nationally, the weather that's coming in and around us today. We've just got a lot to talk about. Go ahead and chat me up if you get a chance on live. Obviously, if you're listening to me right now, it's YouTube, right? On the YouTube channel at Let's Talk Lafayette. And you can chat me up. We'll talk about your questions and anything you're thinking about, anything you're watching and needing to know about, even some local things that happened. Obviously, this is a chance for you to kind of get your information out there other than the maybe weather forecasting part. I'll do most of that for you, everybody. How's that? So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about weather, of course, to start off. That's where I always start. I am very comprehensive here. I do show you a lot. This is about a half-hour segment here. This isn't 3 minutes. Hey, this is what it's going to be like today, tomorrow, the next day. We are going to cover some of that, but I'm going to go through the maps, talk to you about some of the things you can see, maybe give you teaching, a little bit about weather as we go along and coming across all the different things we'll see as we go through the coming months as the show gets bigger and bigger and people start to watch here and there. And don't be afraid to go out and tell everybody and go ahead and hit that like and describe. Like and subscribe button if you give it a chance. All right. So that's great there. Let's take a look at it right now. I'm going to go over here. We're going to switch charts. We're going to look at these things. I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger on this today. Let's try this here and see if this helps out any, at least for the time being. Gives me an idea of what's going on. It didn't really get that much bigger, did it? All right, there we go. Let's go with it anyway. 27 degrees outside right now, cloudy skies, and winds. Notice they've shifted out into the south already. So we're out of the south southwest at 10 miles per hour. We're looking for a high somewhere in the mid 30s today. Saturday, dropping off to 21. Look at the cold temperatures in for the next few days. Sunday, 21, Monday, 9, Tuesday, 24, Wednesday, 34. Now, I will say this. Remember, these numbers are just grabbed straight off the model at the time frame that is expected for that to be. What was the highest that day? I'm going to go through. We're going to analyze, try to decide whether we think it's going to be warmer, colder, wetter, drier, windier, that kind of thing as we go through it, because the models are not perfect. That is for sure. Matter of fact, the models yesterday made the little wave that came through early this morning to be a bit stronger with snowfall. Maybe, I was always saying a dusting was the big deal, but it showed like strips of 1 inch around us and 2 inches around us, but that would be very hard to forecast for. Well, that's exactly what happened. We didn't get much out of the system, just some flurries and light snow, spotty here and there. But we do have another wave coming through. That wave is still on track, and I can even see some of the precipitation showing up on our radar charts right now. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But 27 cloudy skies right now with a wind chill probably hovering around 15 to 18 degrees, depending on where you're at with 10 miles an hour. That's about a 15 to 18 wind chill. So still chilly. Bundle up as you head outside. Even though it gets up to 36, we are going to pick up some stronger, gustier winds as the day goes on, and we'll be able to see that pretty easily too. I did want to hit one of the snow statements, come straight out of the National Weather Service in Indianapolis, came out at 4 o'clock this morning. 2 quick moving systems will track across central Indiana this morning and this afternoon with minimal snowfall on there. So hopefully I'm getting kind of like some mixed signals on my outputs. Hopefully you're able to see me right now. Let's see what happens, or something that's on there. Let me go to a different page, make sure we're coming out live, or if I'm just talking for nothing, which would be normal for me, right? You guys know me. Wrong degrees direction. Up at the top, you can read the chart. It says 20Z. That would be 8 o'clock. All right, that was from yesterday. Oh, here's today. Oh, here's today. All right, so the picture's not going across. That's what the problem is. The picture's not going across. That's what the problem is. Let me see what I can do here real quick. Technical problems as usual with the settings. What's going on? Something's happening. Output should be okay. Video. So I've been having audio problems more than anything else. And now today, no video seems to be going out. Or has it changed over? Let's see if we can get it to go. That's what the problem is, folks. I probably hit the wrong button, didn't I? Yep, I should have put the full screen up. Instead, I put the other one up. So there really was no problem other than I hit the wrong button and pushed the wrong one. So now let's go to the satellite charts. Let's go to the weather and see what's going on there. Let's change it over real quick. All right. Now let's see what happens. There we go. Now we're talking about what we're talking about. And let's go back to where I started. We'll start from the beginning here real quick, just so you can see what I was telling you about. It's 27 degrees outside right now under cloudy skies, right? The winds are out of the south-southwest at 11 miles an hour. 72% humidity and visibility is unrestricted. Could be a flurry here or there, but nothing being reported on that. The model right now shows these are the can numbers straight off the model. 36 for the high. Tomorrow only 23, 20. Look at Monday, 10 with lows single digits. I would not be surprised at all if Sunday or Monday we get to zero overnight in the morning hours, Sunday morning or Monday morning. That'll be something we'll have to look at here. So, all right. So we got it all figured out now at this point, and then a little bit of a warm up on Wednesday. And so then I started talking to you about the snow statement here that it shows here, and I popped it up onto a different page. And this comes from the National Weather Service. And you click on the blue mark there, and it says this came out at 4 o'clock this morning. Two quick moving systems will track across central Indiana this morning and this afternoon. Minimal snow accumulations, less than 1 inch, may accumulate over most areas. And this is what we've been talking about for a couple days, forecast wise, here, that it wasn't going to be a lot, but there'll be some gusty winds and it could create some icy conditions on the roads, just like we saw a couple days ago, which led to an accident, actually, several in Tippecanoe County yesterday. So something to keep in mind there, that this same kind of thing could pop up for tomorrow morning. There will result a thin layer of snow on or around the roads and surfaces, kind of blowing. I think at the beginning, once we shift our winds back around to the north to northwest, you're talking the east-west routes. We'll have the worst road conditions, which is kind of the mainstay anyway. If you're traveling, be alert for rapidly changing conditions in short distances. Roads and surfaces may become slippery. So they put out a little travel advisory, but you can kind of see where the snow is out here to the west on this. Is kind of where it is supposed to be right now. And the snow that went through last night is actually all the way over into Ohio, and most of it stayed north of us. And then just not much for flurries or a light snow in the local area is what we ended up seeing. Let's take a look at the satellite, and you can kind of see the whole entire pattern. The low was up here in southern Canada to northern Wisconsin over Lake Superior yesterday, was going to dive down, bring one wave through, which you can kind of see the remnants of it right here. It's just falling apart. There's not much. This is the clouds in the mid levels and upper levels falling apart. Still a lot of low clouds. We can see those all the way kind of coming around the system. That's what the gray is in this area here. South of Lafayette. Lafayette being right about where the cursor is. And then the next wave's coming through. It looks a little more intense with the higher clouds. And sure enough, we're picking up some precipitation out of the cloud cover right here through this batch right in that area there, which is just off towards our west right now, just across the state line. Okay, so the low is kind of diving and everything's spinning around an upper level low up here, which is bringing everything in and around our system and through our area over the next few days, it looks like. So once this passes on through, then we'll get into some of this cloud cover for tonight and tomorrow back here to our northwest, and that will create some more flurries and some more just light scattered snow with probably less than a half an inch to just a dusting for most people to get. But that can create some problems on our roads, especially with the strong gusty winds, which we'll get into as we go on through here this morning. Here's the latest satellite, and you can see how it's picking up. Not satellite, but this is the radar, and picking up snows just to the area right around Champaign and just to the east of Champaign. We're seeing a lot of snow up near Lake Michigan, and we're seeing some trailing off down towards the south, towards St. Louis, and in that general area too. So this is just starting to come across, getting very close to Lafayette right now. I would think some of this stuff out here in the front maybe isn't hitting the ground, but we're probably definitely seeing some flurries in and around the local area before we see some of this light snow move through. Trajectory, as you can see, is pretty much west to east with a slight movement towards the north on it because of our winds coming out of the south and southwest right now. So that's where the precipitation is with it, and the system and most of those clouds to the south stayed south of Lafayette, and the bigger bands of snowfall were kind of north of us and then again back down towards our south overnight, with us only getting some breeze and very light snow in the local area. Here's what we do see, and here's what the model is showing. This is the HER model, the high resolution rapid refresh model. And what it does is it updates every hour, but every 6 hours, it gets us a 48-hour forecast. And that would be the 12 Zulu forecast that just came out. and it has finished. It shows the snow off to the north. You notice it doesn't show much snow to the south of it, but I am getting reports at stations in Illinois that it is snowing over there right now. So the radar is kind of panning out right where the snow is and where they say it's snowing. Let's go into the next hour or two. We start to see a movement, and you notice it crosses us pretty easily here by about noon. And the model's still showing that most of the precipitation along this is going to be pent up to the north, and that might be a reaction to the first wave that went through and not much fell. But we are at least seeing a little bit of precipitation falling on the radar to our west. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, flurries sometimes never even show up, or a very light snow do not show up on radars. Radars do not pick up snow nearly as easily as they pick up rainfall. So it's harder to see. And that can influence your model. That can influence your radar. They make some changes in the winter for the radar to try to pick it up a little bit easier, but it doesn't always. And then sometimes it enhances it, makes it look a lot worse. If we go back and look at that radar shot, maybe some of this is being enhanced a bit by the radar, and then maybe some of this out in front isn't even hitting the ground. It's hard to tell a little bit, but generally some of your brighter colors are definitely a snowfall reaching the ground at this time. And then again, lots of flurries around this. It's going to take a few hours by the noon time frame or so for it to pass through. And then on the backside, we'll start to get into the cloud cover here. And because you can see the grays in here pretty easily, that the low clouds that are associated with that go back behind the mid-level clouds back off to the northwest. When those come through, there will always be some flurries with that, with this type of system moving through. So the snowfall looks to be kind of not dramatic, obviously, less than a half an inch for just about everybody. Most of us are just going to see a dusting, but it could create nasty little ruts on the roads and icy conditions here and there. It'll be warm during the day today, so it'll kind of be wet, a wettish road. And then tonight is when we'll be looking for mainly the maybe a potential ice covered, some of that black ice out there, maybe some drifting in a couple spots throughout the county, as even more flurries and a light snowfall off and on through tomorrow, it looks like. But here's where the satellite was, or that's where it was. And here's now your radar. And then we go back to the model kind of showing it push through. And then look what happens after it. You don't see much. You think, oh, hey, we're doing good. Lafayette being right here. Right here is where Lafayette doesn't show any real precipitation. But then we start to see that cloud band coming in from the northwest. And still this afternoon into the evening hours, it's warm enough to create some light rain out in front of the system where the snowfall will be. But it changes to all snow by the time it gets to Lafayette. And then we start to see some okay snows by 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight. A little band of precipitation will move through on the front of that little wave. And then we just kind of see, notice it just hit and miss. There's a shower, snow shower for a little bit. Then there's a little light flurries. There's probably going to be light flurries off and on throughout the entire period through tomorrow morning and into tomorrow night. And, but nothing of heavy amounts being seen just about anywhere. And we'll go and look at the total accumulations here on this. And look at that, 0.3 of an inch, 0.7 in Crawfordsville. But look at this is the same thing as yesterday, streaks of precipitation, which are hard to find, which means generally speaking, just about everybody's going to be at a 1/4 of an inch or less is what it looks like, with some outside chances of a half to maybe 0.7 of an inch. Yesterday, it was showing about 1.5 inches to 2, maybe in a couple spots here or there for today. And that's all dried up. And now we're in the lower categories and we're looking much better. Still something to keep an eye on, especially tonight through tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at when it jumps up the most. So it goes from nothing to like 1/10 of an inch at about 11 o'clock tonight. That's that first little push through. Then it's kind of quiet. Then tomorrow morning, we get another little push of precipitation, which is around noon tomorrow to, let's call it noon to like 4 o'clock. And you'll just see flurries off and on in between with just those short little periods of maybe some light snow. And then again, Saturday night into Sunday, maybe a little bit more light snow and a little wave here or there. But generally speaking, not a lot of snow, but an usherance of definitely cold air coming in. I told you there'll be some gustiness out there with the weather, with some maybe blowing snow and then some drifting. Let's take a quick look at the totals of wind gusts for the system. as it comes through. And we'll come back to about where we are now. You can see we're already starting to pick. We saw that it was 11 miles an hour sustained out at the airport, but they're probably getting gusts of 15 or 20. Model's saying we should be 25 to 30 at times today already this morning. Let's keep an eye on that as it moves through. And then it actually slows down. That's good news. A little bit less as the afternoon goes on, and then even better by this evening. But we can see kind of where the next little wave is coming through. Not as pronounced as what it showed for yesterday. So that makes me think positive. Remember, Clipper systems coming out of the Northwest, out of Canada, very light in snowfall, usually no more than an inch to 3 in the worst spots. And they can be very much just flurries at times, but they're definitely an annoyance and can create some bad road problems. Gusty winds continue, but this isn't anything dramatic. This is a normal winter here, 15 to 20 miles an hour with some gusts, maybe 25, occasionally 30. We're not seeing the 50 or 60 or anything like that with wind speed. So that's good news. It will create some very cold wind chills, though, obviously, as we go out through that. So let's take a look at those temperatures as we go through the day today, where it's going to be rather warm, right? What are we right now? We are still, that's the updated 27 degrees currently. And then we come back out and we see that the current time frame, boom, let's go back to it, which is 14Z, is 9 o'clock, shows 24, and at 10 o'clock shows 27, and we're at 27. So we're already moving into that temperature range right now for the model. And it shows a wind coming out of the south, which is exactly right, south southwest right there. All the wind barbs are pointing towards the north. We work with fromies in weather, so when we talk about winds, we say the winds are from the south. That's one way to remember it. So when you hear there's a westerly wind, it's the winds are from the west. That's how we think about it. Aviation wise, they think opposite sometimes. So it just depends. And here's your high temperature pushing up near 38 degrees today. I do not believe we're going to see a ton of sunshine, even though there's going to be some open spots in between the wave that goes through this morning and the next wave that comes through tonight. Maybe not enough. And we'll be hovering around. Look at that, 41 over in Danville. 38 in Lafayette, 39 degrees. So could we scratch our way up to 40 if we get a little sun? It's possible, but expect at least upper 30s for your highs today before things start to drop off. So here we are at 9 o'clock tonight. Remember, the snow's coming probably 10 to noon or 10 to midnight, and it will be more of just a light snow. Again, no big accumulations, but you can see the cold air coming in right behind the system, right? Boom, 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 boom. Here comes all the blue in there and the purples. And by tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, now you're seeing temperatures right around 20 degrees. And you've got a 10 or a 15 knot wind on there. With that 10 or 15 knot wind, it looks like you'll be seeing wind chills somewhere around 5 tomorrow morning. So keep that in mind if you have to work tomorrow morning. If you happen to go somewhere tomorrow morning, it'll be pretty chilly in the morning hours tomorrow with that 10 or 15 knot wind out there. And then it stays cold all day. Look at that. All day it's pretty much hovering around 20, give or take a degree, one direction or the other. Cloud cover will keep it pretty steady. Flurries off and on through the day. Tomorrow, maybe a light snow squall here or there, but nothing really to worry about. Snowfall, as we said, is less than a half an inch. Most people, a quarter inch or just a dusting over the next day or so. Call it the next 24 to 48 hours. And then this pushes out to Sunday morning. And look at this, how the cold air, look at the single digits starting to encroach, kind of pointing a line right towards Lafayette. It shows us at 13 degrees Saturday morning with a pocket to our south of 7. That's because the cloud cover will be, how we call it, stubborn, so to speak. It takes a while for some times during the winter for the cloud cover to leave us. In this out here to the west in Illinois, Iowa, southern Wisconsin, the skies will probably be open and it will get much colder. If this cloud cover that appears like it may be over us at that time frame keeps our temperatures a little warmer, if it clears out a little earlier, then we can expect some single digit temperatures on Saturday morning. Let's push it out to Sunday morning, see if the NAM Nest from the 6Z run is showing us the same kind of thing. And it is. There you go. It shows some teens. And then it only goes out a little ways. So let's go to the NAM and see if it shows us Sunday morning. There or Monday morning. And then so there we are only in the 20s on mid 20s on Sunday. It looks like at this point. But then look what happens overnight. Boom, here come the single digit temperatures. Shows us at a minimum of around 5 degrees. I'm sure if we leave it here, we can find some spots. Look at this up near Rensselaer, about 3 degrees, 3 degrees. Uh, Notoriously, the models tend to be off on these temperatures a little bit. So I would go a couple degrees colder, generally speaking. And look at your wind speed. It shows 17 knots over Lafayette at that time frame. Even at 5 degrees and 17 knots, your wind chill is going to be minus 15 to minus 10 Sunday morning on your way to church. So bundle up on your way to church Sunday morning. Kind of stays that way most of the day. Kind of shows temperatures right there around just single digits to the low teens. Probably that's 18Z is the afternoon on Sunday into or Monday, excuse me. We're now into Monday. So I said church, but I meant Monday morning on this, of course. Got my days mixed up. That happens in the weather world because I'm looking at information from now all the way out to 2 weeks, and it's easy to confuse yourself of which day it is. Plus, I'm a rather confusing person. Don't you agree? Nobody needs to chat in on that. uh, all right, Kingdom Mindset's popping here. He wants to know about Toledo tomorrow morning. Well, right now I'm working on Lafayette. I'll have to zoom out a little bit for that. I'll get to that in a little bit. Let me see what I can do. I know he may be over there tomorrow. He's trucking around the area. So Toledo tomorrow, just from the looks at this, I'm just going to pop this back out. I can't quite get the map all the way to Toledo on here. I have to zoom out a little bit. Features. Let's go to this one real quick. And then let's go for real quick shot at what the precipitation will look like over there for tomorrow. All right, so it's nice how you get given a local forecast right here for somebody chatting on the line. Okay, so in the morning, Toledo being roughly over right in here looks to be in the open early in the morning, like 4 in the morning. Then they are going to be kind of like us, lots of flurries, some scattered snows, couple little waves here or there that they may run into, and then they start to pick up. There we go. 20, and then it says it wants to clear, but now we're getting out a little bit later. Let's go back to the hearse so we can get in closer to that run of what's going to be like, right? Tomorrow morning. See this? There we go. This one does show it pretty easily. And it's the same kind of thing, shotgun kind of pattern for snowfall moving across areas. So more of the same for the Toledo area too. And then later in the day, going into Sunday night. Hopefully you'll be back home by then for that time frame. It looks like you're going to run into some more scattered light snows. Let's see if there's any real accumulations with that over there. It does show a couple swaths, and sure enough, it's along the Hoosier Heartland corridor kind of area as you're going towards Toledo. Just keep an eye open for a couple of these few things. You might get in a stretch here or there where you run into something like that tomorrow over there by Toledo, but it looks like most of that snowfall actually falls to tonight into tomorrow. So it's again not a lot of accumulations. You don't see much more than even an inch over towards Toledo right now. And just expect kind of what you're going to see here in Lafayette for Toledo tomorrow. So there you go. We've got that one. We kicked it out there. We showed it. Now let's go to some of the longer range information. I'm going to go back to the precipitation type. We're going to come back to today, and we're going to go out to the GFS, which is the long range model. This is the one that's going to show you out a week to 2 weeks and give you a kind of a time frame of what's going to be happening over that period. And of course, here it shows the system over us. Remember, I've explained in the past that the HER is in close. It's like looking at stuff in 4K. When you get out to GFS, it's like looking at 720p. All right. So it's not as accurate. It's kind of more broad picture and not fuzzy, but just doesn't show you the exactness. And you'll see that in the blockiness of the colors of the moisture. Waves go through here, there. Now we're Sunday. Here we are Sunday, and look at the big high down to our southwest on Sunday over Oklahoma and Arkansas, and the influence it has all over our entire area. Our entire area is influenced by this high to the south. Winds coming across the lake create snows over the lake. Most of the winds will be out of the west to northwest coming across our area, which will dry us out probably on Sunday. And that's why the cold temperature potential for Monday morning is drying all the clouds out. Then it bumps a little system by us on Monday into Tuesday. There's just everything stays to our north. There's something that pops up on Wednesday. That would be Tuesday night next week. We keep an eye on that, and we start to look at any systems coming from the south where there could be a lot more snow. That one developing now is now Thursday, the 23rd. So this is a week away. And why do we have to keep an eye on this? Well, Lafayette is right here. You have rain to the south, you have snow to the north, and ice in between. And where this low tracks is exactly what will happen to us. A little farther south, it's all snow. A little farther north, it's all rain, right? Or in this case, we get more into the ice. And it's kind of varied on this. Uh, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. It showed it being on Tuesday, and then it backed it out to Saturday, Friday or Saturday. Now it's still yesterday. It backed it up to Thursday, I think again. Now it's showing it here on Friday, influence us next week. So it does say some kind of system is going to come up from the south where it can tap into the Gulf of America and grab more moisture, and that can create more snowfall. So I'm going to go right there, and then I'm going to go here. I'm going to change this to 24-hour snowfall real quick. And look at that. Right over Lafayette, it shows 6.4 inches. That's why we need to keep an eye on this. Could this system totally fall apart? We see nothing. Absolutely could be. Could it be on Saturday or Sunday, or could it be Thursday instead of Friday? It could be that too. So, because it is a week away, we definitely need to keep an eye on that. So, that system could drop 6 inches of snow. So, there's your next worrisome worry. We still got to worry about icy roads and conditions tonight and tomorrow, that kind of thing. That's a normal winter thing, especially black ice where you don't think there's anything there and all of a sudden it is. Uh, but generally speaking, it looks like we will see uh, that storm. And then look at this on its heels, maybe another one. Same thing. Look at where the ice is just to our south. And we're kind of in the snow bands on this one. And this would be into Saturday. So, bam, one on Friday, one on Saturday next week, right away, right behind each other. And then let's see what happens with this one. Well, this one says in 24-hour snowfall accumulations that another 5 inches could fall. So if, and that's a big if these pan out, that's 10 inches between two different systems back to back days or in 2 out of 3 days. So this is something to watch out for. Definitely for sure, it has some potential there. And then as you watch it, you can see some snowfall. And this is snowfall, so you're not seeing much. There's another clipper. You notice it's coming from the northwest, right? Out of Canada, less snowfall with it. And that is what day is that? That is out on Tuesday the following week, the 27th. And then another clipper starts to come in, but goes to the north. But again, we see lots of clipper systems this time of the year coming out of Canada. But that one right there could drop like 5 inches, and the system right before it shows us in potentially a 6 inch band. With look at that, 8 inches not that far away. So the end of next week could be something to really, really focus on. And obviously, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll really try to get in that the best I can to let you guys know what's going on with that. Temperature wise, let's take a look at that because that'll also give you an indication of what's going on. Remember, we just talked about where the rain was, what it would do. So my first thoughts when I see the rain like that is, well, we're still in the cold, but look how it warmed up as that system came up towards us. So we're going to drop off and get in single digits here in the next few days. It's going to be pretty chilly. Then we may see a little bit of a warm up, which actually really only gets us back to near normal for our temps because our temps are generally in the low 30s this time of the year for our highs. That's where we may be next week at the end of the week, especially. And then it's probably going to crash and the temperature will drop off again after that. So let's go through the process and see if that's what we're seeing here. We see the cold is in here now. We have that quick little warmth in there. This is the long range. So remember, more blocky on the colors, but it gives you an indication, right? What I like to see is here's the isobars again, straight out of the north, pulling cold air straight out of Canada towards us, towards the Great Plains areas. And then it shifts to a more westerly, comes towards us, and then we start to warm up a little bit. That's Sunday, but warming up a little bit is 22, right? Because we're going to be really cold for a couple days in there. Stays chilly, stays chilly, stays. Now we start to see a warm up on Wednesday. Remember, I said we'd see an influx from the south, from the low pressure system that it's starting to show. And while it's just cold enough, and the low stays just far south of us enough to keep the cold air in here and brings us all snow. And that continues on both Friday. I go back a little bit. There's Friday, we're 24 degrees, and Saturday, where we're 22 degrees pretty much for our highs. And that will be cold enough to sustain snow. And then look what happens behind it. Look at this cold temperature. What is that? A pocket of minus 11s Monday, January 26th in Ohio. For us, -3. So you can see As the system goes by, bam, in come the winds from the north, and go the temperatures again. As they say, down goes Frazier. And then there's a big old pocket of uh, cold temperatures out to our west with the system. So that's what we'll see there, and that's on Wednesday, the January 28th. Watch what happens to that. It's going to cut. See that moves right into us now. Oh man, I know everybody's going to panic. You see the -20, the -19 over Lafayette, right? This is Wednesday, January 28th. This is almost 2 weeks away. Expect colder, but not necessarily -20, and something we'll watch and keep an eye on. But look at that big cold spell. I saw a couple guys on YouTube this morning. Look out for the cold streak, scaring everybody. I'm not trying to scare anybody. We need to be cautious. We need to watch these things, but I expect this to modify in some way by the time we get to there, and we'll have to see what sets up during that time frame. But that's the end of the month, getting very chilly and cold, and then no real rebound until Friday the 30th, and they get back up to near normal temperatures by that date. And what you'll notice here is a pocket of warmth back out to the west and southwest of us, even some close to 70-degree temperatures in Oklahoma near the end of January, and a trough. But I see another trough right here to the north. So a trough would be like a cold front coming off of a system. It's where the pressure and the lows and your cold temperatures get trapped north. Your warm temperatures are above. So as I see a trough kick through, normally is what I would think is, okay, here comes the cold air behind it, and there it is right there. So do we develop after the really cold chance to get into some warmth for a day or two? Sure. But now we're 2 weeks out, and almost anything could happen, folks, on during that time frame. So, man, there is a lot going on there weather-wise. Let's take a look at the current observations here real fast. I'm going to hit the surface main, go back to this. This is your update. You can see temperatures all in the 20s just about everywhere. They're even kind of pinning a little warm front along this trough and the precipitation coming in right now. Where the temperatures are in the 30s to the south, and that's what we'll get into later on as the day goes on. I want to get into some of the raw METARs. This is the whole state. I'm going to go to that product menu I've showed you in the past and go to the decoded numbers so I can see where things are at pretty easy. What I noticed first off is everybody is cloud covered, overcast it says, or broken, which means more than half the sky. And there's moderate snows up in Gary. All right. Moderate snows. The GYY, I believe, is Gary. MGC, I'm not sure which one KMGC is, but they're reporting some light snow, and Valparaiso is reporting light snow right now. This is the state of Indiana, right? So, and our winds are in the, it looks like 15 to 20. Nope, oh, that's temperature. Sorry, jumped over to the side. Anywhere from 4 to about 18. Is 18 the highest we see in the state, but expect those to increase a little bit and then just kind of stay steady, definitely making you feel cold out there. Let's go back to the raw METARs by state and then go back to Illinois real fast and then put them in an order here too. And the reason I do that is it snowing over there? And sure enough, here you see lots of light snow in different places, moderate snow, and different. You just got to know where you're talking about for some of these places, like KJOT, Joliet, light snow right now, and skies overcast at 2,400 feet for the bases on the clouds there. That's not bad. Temperature's 29 for them. Let's see, where's Champaign? There it is. CMI is Champaign. They're not reporting snow at the moment. Okay, so it's past there. Does Danville report? Danville does report. Same thing. Nothing being reported at Danville, but they were earlier. But DeKalb, it's snowing. Where else is it snowing? Joliet, we just talked about them. Then you go down Rockford, it's snowing in Rockford. And all of these are light snows. All of these are light snows. I see broken to overcast conditions everywhere there, pretty much just about everywhere in the state. And their winds, not too bad, actually. Look at that. They're still in the single digits to teens, too. So no big winds have picked up as of yet. More annoyance winds than it is anything else, which adds to that cold temperature that you're going to be seeing out there. Always feels cold when the wind is kicking. I've told many people, they ask how Antarctica was. I said, well, when the wind isn't blowing, -40 doesn't feel that cold. But when the wind's blowing, 20 degrees feels like cold because it saps you. It takes all that energy and all your heat away from you, and you feel much colder. I can remember walking to work in the mornings in Antarctica, and it would be -20 to -40 out, and it would be dead calm, not a cloud in the sky, and it's dark that time of the year in the winter. I did a couple times down there, and just being able to see every star in the sky you could think of. And I always tell the story about you came downstairs, I walked out, my eyes had to adjust a little bit from being inside, and I look up and I see all these stars, and then I see this thing going across. And I was like, "Oh, that," and it was a satellite. It was a satellite going across, and I actually saw the satellite go across, McMurdo down there in Antarctica, and then I walked over to Earth, to work in the weather office. I was the only weather guy during the winter down there. Did that twice, and, I looked it up to make sure, and sure enough, it showed because I can you can see the satellite paths down there. Because down there, there's not a stationary satellite over Antarctica because it's down close to the pole, but you have polar orbiting satellites that come over, and you get there's a readout that tells you when they come and when they go. And sure enough, I went got the readout and it went right over McMurdo, pretty close to it. Right at that time, I came out, which was probably for me down there. My working hours were like 3 in the morning till noon. Right. So that's kind of how that worked. And that was every day that I was there. And then I was on call because I was the only weatherman. Some great stories there for you for Antarctica. I'm sure I will have a lot of them through the shows because Antarctica was a big part of my adult life. I wish my family could have went and seen the place and been there with me. That would have been awesome. That would have been even better. Uh, except my wife Susie, who doesn't like the cold, and let her go once, and then we could have sent her home. How's that? But I'm sure my kids would have loved it actually, and maybe the grandkids too, and you probably would too. If you ever get a chance to go to Antarctica, you get on a cruise or something like that, do it. Go for it because first off, there's only 7 continents, and it's the hardest one to get to. And if you get a chance to go to it, go and enjoy yourself and see all the wildlife. Penguins, we had emperor penguins in town. Those are the big ones, like 4 foot tall. There are Adelie penguins that were in and out of town all the time. When the ice broke up out in front of McMurdo, we could see killer whales out there, tons of seals. A seagull. I think it was a seagull. They called them skuas, but they look like a dirty gray seagull because they matched kind of what the ground was where there was no snow. They kind of look like that. And they would come down, actually have babies, and then they would take off during the summers that when I was down there in McMurdo. So that's pretty far south. You're inside the Antarctic Circle, and you're only 700 miles from the South Pole. And then there are birds giving birth down there. It was pretty cool if you walked around the hills. That's kind of what it was for them. And they're very protective. Plus, they look for food. There's some pretty cool Psycho videos. You remember the music Psycho? Right when he busted through the shower and it's reek, 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 reek. Someone took that music and had videotaped one of the skuas diving off of one of the buildings to grab somebody's bag who had just walked out of the chow hall, and that was pretty funny for a long time, at least in my mind, anyway. So. That's well, we just covered weather. I got back on Antarctica a little bit, but be ready for some snowfall tonight. Uh, nothing major. We're talking a dusting, maybe a quarter of an inch. Very isolated chance of a half an inch. A little bit of gustiness with the winds could create some problems and some icy conditions. More black ice probably than anything else, and any roads that maybe haven't been cleared yet. I'm sure there's a couple if you go down some of these county roads that may just haven't had a plow down them, and it's not been quite warm enough maybe yet to get some of that off. And we had a pretty bad accident in the county yesterday on some icy conditions, and I saw some pictures of that road, and I saw just a big thick coating of ice on it, and I thought, well, here I am up near Battleground, and there's nothing on our county roads. So you can see how it can be in different places. Maybe they got a bit more snow the other day out of that system, and then it hardened on the road and hadn't had time to melt. Well, today, same thing. We're going to get a little bit of warmth. Maybe we the flurries we see continue to come down, but it leaves the road just wet enough to freeze over tonight in spots. And look out for some of that black ice out there. Okay, so we always got to keep our mind on those kind of things. Meanwhile, what are we going to talk about today? What do we want to talk about today? Well, I just talked, what? Wow, 35 minutes on weather. You see how easy it is when someone's job is that, right? To just talk and talk and talk about something that they've done for so long, and maybe you're that way too. Well, I'm a sports freak too, so to speak. I played tons of it in high school and when I was a kid, and when I was in the Marine Corps. Man, that was like playing man, I got injured playing football, if that tells you anything. So, them boys are pretty rough in the Marine Corps playing football, although I played a dozen years before I got hurt, so that was a pretty good. But I love sports. I love watching it. I don't watch it nearly as much as I used to. We're kind of streaming like everybody else, so if I don't pay for specific channels, I don't see games, which bums me out about Purdue. I can remember when I was at WLFI. This is back in I was there from '97 to 2003. We pretty much had every single men's basketball game on TV, or at least it seemed like we did right back then. So I never missed a game. Now it's like if it's not streamed somewhere on YouTube, I'm probably not going to see it. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. If it's on Peacock, you're never going to see it. If it's on the Big Ten channel, you got a better than 50-50 chance that you can watch the game live on YouTube somewhere. And so it's kind of very hit and miss. But by the time you buy Peacock and you get BTN and you got some kind of streaming somewhere else that gives you other channels, even YouTube TV, you're at $100 or more a month. And just like many of you, I've kind of gotten away from that, and many of us have. And so I see a lot of highlights after. It's easy to see press conferences and things like that, and those are kind of some of the exciting things that I do like to listen to still. As a sports nut, sports crazy guy, anything Chicago, anything Purdue, anything Indiana. So, like the big games coming up Monday night for the national championship in football, something no one in the state of Indiana, I think, thought was going to happen is Indiana, the Hoosiers, playing for the national championship in football. Not only that, they're undefeated on the season, and they're stomping on people when they win. And I don't think anybody thought that, because just a few years ago they were not very good at all. And now everybody at Purdue is hoping for the same kind of thing, a big quick turnaround, and we're like up in the elite all of a sudden out of nowhere on the football team. And I think it takes usually a little longer. This is kind of an anomaly. I'm sorry, you Indiana Hoosier fans. It is an anomaly for your team to change this drastically, this quickly. That's a good thing on your coach, though, probably, and who the people they brought in through the NIL and through the portal. And so Purdue's working on that too right now. But I'll be rooting for the Hoosiers on Monday. The only time I wouldn't be rooting for them in the national championship is if they were playing Purdue. Then I'd be rooting Purdue. And that's the only time I will root against any Indiana team is when they're playing Purdue, because Purdue's my number one team. All right. It probably is for you, because why? You live in Lafayette. That's that's probably what is going to be going on with that front. So, and the team, like the men's basketball team, has just left. I don't know if they left last night or yesterday, or they left this morning to go out to the West Coast. They're going to play first USC on Saturday, and then they're going to play UCLA on Tuesday. Okay, so this is their West Coast swing. And the Big Ten's done a good job of when teams go out there, they kind of go out for a 2-game trip, and then they can come back, so less travel. Unfortunately for the teams like USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon, who are now in the Big Ten, they have to come to the East a lot more often. And I did notice that they do group them in twos a lot of times, which cuts down on some of the travel too for them. But they have to come East a lot more than the other teams have to go West. It can wear on you, I think, by the end of the season, I would imagine. But we'll see how that goes. Nobody's complained too much about it yet. But Purdue is headed out there to play a couple games Saturday and Tuesday, and I'll get into some of that too here pretty quick. I've got a quick little note on what Painter said before. He talked a little bit about Iowa and then a little bit about USC coming up. He said after a neck-and-neck matchup against the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I'm getting this basically straight from the Exponent. It's coming straight off the Exponent, this information. After a neck-and-neck matchup against the Iowa Hawkeyes Wednesday night, the Boilers continue the race as they travel west for two highly competitive California teams. Through the eyes of head coach Matt Painter, he acknowledges the difficulty on the horizon while also reflecting on teams' defensive lapses. So he could see what was happening. Remember, Monday they were behind after the first quarter. But I got to give some of that credit to Iowa, who made their first 5 3-pointers and were shooting 70%, 7 from 10 at the half. So, yes, okay, some of them hit the rim, bounced straight up 3 feet, and then went back down and in. That's kind of crazy. We know that. There were 4 of those, including a bank shot. But they still made shots, and they were wide open a lot. So the defense wasn't there wasn't a hand in somebody's face, so to speak. And I think coach wasn't happy about that. Through his eyes, he acknowledges the difficulty on the horizon while also reflecting on the team's defensive lapses from last week. And in Thursday's pregame press conference, so this was from yesterday, he mentioned how traveling out west is a significant challenge. And when laying on the road, it's important to find every possible way to gain a competitive edge. He talked about trying to get rest, trying to be ready, trying to be on edge, and you can't control some things like the travel itself, but you can control things like when you get into the hotels and that stuff. That's me talking about that. That's what he can be controlled, and that's what they're going to try to do. Painter credits USC's size and versatility, emphasizing its ability to adjust offensive strategy mid-game. And a large part of this credit belongs to graduate student forward Chad Baker Mazzara, who stands at 6'7", and his ability to command the defense both inside and out. Yes, the our USC defense can put a small lineup out there, which you would think would lead for Purdue to have some pluses in that point, but they can also put a big lineup out there, he said. They can mix it up. The same could be said about Purdue. They can match with a small lineup, or they could force someone into a small lineup, chasing four guards around the court if they want to. We haven't seen a ton of that this year. We've seen the pretty standard two bigs and three smalls running around, so to speak. Um, so USC though is more on the smaller side and doesn't use the bigs as much, and where Purdue is on the big sides a lot and less where they could run a 4 or a 5-man small team out there. Although they have done it, and I would like to see it because they could run up and down the court and wear another team out pretty easily. Just like I said, I think the whole team should be doing that, but I see some pluses obviously down low for Purdue, but they also had a big plus against the game that happened against Iowa on uh, Saturday, or excuse me, Wednesday. But they won the rebound battle, but they didn't get that many. They didn't overpower them. So we'll see what happens as they head to USC. Here's what else Painter had to say. USC has also a team that's been riddled with injuries this year, having multiple players out for an extended period of time. With that being said, Purdue Painter emphasizes that Purdue's coaching staff always have to prepare for a fully healthy lineup. And the last time a Purdue matchup, Iowa came out blazing, shooting 12 for 25 from three. But remember, they were 7 for their first 10 and 5 for their first 5. So they did cool off, but they still shot over 40%, almost 50% for the entire game. So when mentioning what Purdue's next focus is, Painter mentioned the struggle of many wide open looks coming from Iowa and exploiting Purdue's switching on ball screens and lack of communication. So they're having problems talking to each other. One guy jumps off to another guy to help, and then the second guy doesn't go and cover up because they're not talking well with each other, or they're not realizing what's going on. So as the Boilers prepare to take on USC first on Saturday and UCLA on Tuesday, Painter has made an emphasis on how communication on the defense could be a leading factor to future successes. They, and he was talking about Iowa, organically got it and points done a couple times from our lack of communication, a couple times from breakdowns, but other times their efficiency and their ability to move the ball when we got behind plays wasn't there. So 6 p.m. on Saturday, and that's again on the Peacock, and on the Peacock on Tuesday again against UCLA at 10 p.m. our time. So that's a late one there. Not sure if I'll be up for that at all. I'll have to see all the highlights early morning, Wednesday morning. I'll bring it all to you and let you know what was going on, at least on that front with the Purdue game there. So that's they're playing tomorrow. That's the way it looks on that front. What kind of stats? Well, we know they won against Iowa. When we go and look at some of the standings right now, there's only 2 teams left atop the men's basketball Big Ten standings. Nebraska and Purdue are both 6-0. And Nebraska, man, they are a scrappy team. 17-0 on the season. Nobody expected this out of them. Doesn't mean they weren't expected to be a decent team. It just, I don't think anybody expected this. The same with how Michigan came on. Everybody knew they were going to be a good team. They didn't know if they were going to be a great team, and they appeared to be a great team. So, but right now, Nebraska and Purdue are tied with 6-0. So there's 14 games left. Purdue goes 14-0, they win the whole thing, right? Because they're going to beat Nebraska in that, of course. But a 20-0 would be what I would be shooting for, starting with tomorrow. We look at tomorrow only. Then we shift to Tuesday, with the ultimate goal being 20-0, right? Now, is that going to happen? That'd be hard, really hard to do. You can lose in anybody's spot. Even the worst team in the league can beat you at home. That's for sure. In the Big 10, SEC, the Big 12, all of them. When you're playing on the road, it's tough, right? It used to be you wanted to go win all your games at home, go 10 and 0, and go 5 and 5 on the road, and you would be right in the hunt, if not in the lead for the Big 10. But this year, I see 5 teams that have big time potential to win the entire thing. Obviously, Nebraska and Purdue are leading the way right now, but Michigan State only has 1 loss. Illinois only has 1 loss, right? And Michigan only has 1 loss. All 5 of those teams right now are premier. We don't know what to think of Nebraska. When you look at their KenPom numbers, they're not that good. I think their KenPom numbers put them much lower than that. But the point being is, let me see if I can find their KenPom numbers real quick. Let's see, Nebraska. They have moved up on their KenPom readings, though, as of late. All right, I know they're doing better than that. Okay, so Purdue is number 4 in the KenPom ratings. They are the number 1 offense in the country and the number 24 defense. Their defense was just like 14th last week. So after these last couple games where both teams shot like 50% against them, their defense percentage went down and they dropped to 24th in the country. When I look for Nebraska, here they are. They are 17 and 0. They are rated 15th with the 28th best offense and the 14th best defense in the country. So that when I see numbers like that and they're undefeated, that tells me that's a team that's scrappy, that works hard, that does all the good things, all the little things. Can we say Purdue? Right? Purdue got beat by a team that did what? That looked just like them. Iowa State looked just like them. They did all the little things. They made the extra passes. They worked hard. They played tough defense. They did all those things, and Iowa State ended up beating Purdue. How does Purdue beat most people? That exact same way. Do all the little things. Keep working on it. Play hard defense, and be offensively efficient. Number 1 team in the country offensively, Purdue is. So, Nebraska, while their numbers are not nearly as good as Purdue's, sounds like they do a lot of the same things too. And they're 17 and 0 with Purdue being 16 and 1. Michigan's 15 and 1. Everybody else has 2 losses on the overall records. Has at least 3 losses with USC. Wow, USC is only 14 and 3, so they went undefeated in the preseason games, the non-conference schedule. But they're 3 and 3 in the conference, and UCLA is 4 and 2. So even though we're going out to the West Coast, and USC and UCLA may not be ranked right now, although UCLA may be there, it's hard to say. They're going to be tough outs, guys. Yes, both of them have above 500 record in the Big Ten, and both of them have good records overall. Let's see what UCLA and USC are on the KenPom, so we can talk about that real quick. So UCLA is ranked 41st with the 52nd best offense and the 43rd best defense. That's not great, but that's good for a 12 and 5 record. Nothing wrong with that. And USC is 51st with a 14 and 3 record, and they're 56 and 59th between offense and defense with a 14 and 3 record. Now, I got to go look at the strength of schedules, who's played who. And strength of schedule for USC is 43rd, and for UCLA, it is 92nd. So UCLA's paid nobody, and they've lost 5. Well, technically speaking. So the KenPom numbers, yeah, and they get updated all the time. They move a little bit on even on nights you don't play based on what other teams do. Purdue has been very consistent in the top 4 for all season, pretty much. Here's what's the funny part now is now people are making arguments why not to move Purdue up because, of course, Iowa State loses, but Iowa State beat Purdue. Okay, but Michigan loses, and they left Michigan above Purdue. Well, generally speaking, when Purdue lost, and yes, they did get their butt kicked. That has a little bit to do with it. They went from 1st to 5th and have just stayed there. Meanwhile, 3 teams in front of them have lost, and they've not gone behind them. They've just stayed in 5th. That being also said, continue to think that Purdue doesn't have it and put them on the backside thinking, well, they're 5th in the country. They're going to be a number 1 or 2 seed anyway, but we just don't think they're good enough. Yeah, they thought that 2 years ago too, and they ended up in the national championship game, right? Every year you continue to say Purdue doesn't have it. You say they got a great coach, they got great players, but they're not physical enough. They're not athletic enough. They're not this, that, and the other enough. Yet they're the number 1 offense. They're usually a decent defense. As of late, they've been not as good. You remember Painter used to have some of the top one, two, three, four defenses in the country. These guys can play defense. Trust me. And they saw what happened again on Wednesday. They didn't play good defense in the first half. They played great defense in the second half. They came back and won that game pretty easily. And near the end, there it was a tough struggle the entire game, but they won that. So go ahead and continue to think that Purdue doesn't have what it takes, and everybody will underestimate them again, and then they will blow themselves right into the Final Four and into the national championship game. And I believe they'll win the whole thing potentially. It is right there. I put it at above a 50% chance. If I was a betting man, I'd throw some cash on it, but I'm not. So there you go. All right, that's Purdue right now. That's where they're at least, as we can see. They are a 75.6% favorite in this game. Doesn't tell me how much they're favored by on this. I just matchup predictor. That's all it shows on there. Oh, I think it's in the preview, maybe. Let me see here. I'm on ESPN, the magazine, of course. It does not show the percentage average of who's, usually sometimes they say they're a 10-point favorite or not, but at a 75% chance of winning on the road, they got to be a 5 to 9 point favorite, I would think, at SC right now. I would imagine right now Purdue scores 90 and SC scores 68. I think it'll be like a 22-point game. And but let's call it as it is. That would definitely be on a neutral court, right? Purdue might win bigger there. So at home, USC still has a chance to win, but only gets beat by 10 instead of 20, right? That's kind of how it works out usually on the road. But we'll see what happens. Big game coming up on tomorrow. All right. We're going to get into some local stuff here pretty quick. I kind of left it out there. I'm calling this the free for all Fridays, where I just come in and I got a bunch of stuff up here and we just start talking. Obviously, I'm still going to do weather mostly for you guys a lot. And my love sports, right? So I went straight into some basketball and that covered the entire first hour. And I hope you're enjoying it. That's for sure, because I'm enjoying being able to talk here. We just got to spread the word so more people can get in here, get on the chat and talk to me a little bit, tell me what's going on in their lives and what they're thinking. And then we can cover some of the news that way too. So I'm going to hit, first off, I'm going to take a little drink because the throat is starting to go again. There we go. Diet Mountain Dew. If anyone out there at Diet Mountain Dew wants to go ahead and give me an ad campaign to come onto my network and stuff, I'll do that. We'll put it. Let's Talk Lafayette is a Diet Mountain Dew drinker. I see all these companies, these coffee companies coming on these shows, and that obviously that for ads they give them some money and that kind of thing. I'll do that for Diet Mountain Dew if they want to do that. I'll be your guy. I'll go on your TV ads all over the country because I love me some Diet Mountain Dew. Probably too much, but many of you like coffee the same way. So that's kind of how that works out. My bad thing is brownies, cosmic brownies, and Diet Mountain Dew. Those are the two things that really stretch me the most, and I struggle with. That being said, I lost 135 pounds in the last year. I'm struggling with the medications, and I put a little bit back on, about 20, 25. I'm in a good spot, but I want to go back down to where I was and actually go a little bit lower, get closer to where I was when I was a young man, maybe in that 170 to 180 range instead of around 200, 210. I think that's probably where I'll end up, though. I got to be realistic, too, right? I'm old. I'm hurt. I'm beat up. Just like many of us out there. All right, let's take a look at some of the news out here. Let me see if there's been any updates at like Star City, WLFI. Oh, yeah. They're talking about the crash yesterday, and this literally just got updated 2 minutes ago. They put it in here. So this is new. It was about 7 a.m. yesterday morning. A personal injury crash occurred on County Road 800 South near the intersection of Walnut Ridge Road. I kind of looked at that yesterday, and I looked at the topography there, and that's right before that drops in and goes down into the next crossroad there. Is where it was. And I can see how the winds maybe were blowing across there and made very icy road conditions there. Officials located a 2005 Toyota Tacoma truck. A 16-year-old female was entrapped in the passenger side. The sheriff's office said the truck had been traveling west when the driver, a 17-year-old male, lost control on the icy road. The truck spun and was struck by a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, so a big vehicle there coming back. The Jeep was driven by a 17-year-old male. His 13-year-old sister was riding with him, so she was in the back. Both drivers and the Jeep passenger were treated for injuries and released. The female pass. Oh, that was. Looks like the Jeep had the sister in it with him. The female passenger in the Toyota was airlifted to St. Vincent's in Indianapolis. According to a press release, she is in serious but stable condition. This is an ongoing investigation. And from what I've heard, she is going to have some kind of operations this week. And she's going to recover some, but I'm not sure what the total thing is there. I'm just kind of spitballing it, throwing out there something with her hip because she got hit on the side, basically T-boned right where she was. And so they're going to look into some operations for her, but it does seem like she's going to recover, which is great news there. Our youngsters probably heading to school. That's probably all they were doing at that time frame, 7 a.m. in the morning. Yep. They were heading to school. And we got to say some prayers for those folks and both the families so they can get through the situation without having to worry too much about their daughter or their son who was involved in the accident. And so prayers go out to each one of their families right now. And please take a moment to do that if you get a chance. Say a little prayer for them. Let's see here. Some local news again. That was local, all right, already. Tippecanoe County Public Library to host an annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. program. And my thought is, why didn't this come out earlier? But here we are. This Monday is Martin Luther King Jr.'s celebration, right? And they're going to do that at the library. The program begins at 11 a.m. The Joss N. Holman branch, or is that Joseph N. Holman? It just says JOS. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the branch itself, but that's on 627 South Street and features keynote speaker Dr. Ann M. Edwards. If that's on South Street, is that the main branch? It probably is, isn't it? She is Dr. Edwards is a board member for the Association of Black Cultural Centers and Cultural Centers director. So that's good. All ages are invited to attend and participate. Additionally, some TCPL, Tippecanoe County Public Library locations will be open on MLK Day, including Holman Branch from 9 to 8 p.m. and Klondike, Wea Prairie, and Wyandotte libraries from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So there will be some libraries open on Monday despite the holiday. And they are having a celebration downtown, it looks like, on South Street at the Holman branch there with a Dr. Ann M. Edwards. And she is there with the Cultural Center's director. So that's good news there to see that. I was brought up to love Martin Luther King, and we knew a lot about him. Just like anybody, he had his problems too, but he did some great things for the country. I can overshadow any of those things that he had as problems and look at all the exciting things that he did for the country that were very good and brought a lot of great things for everyone in our nation, not just the Black community, the African American community, but also those around us who love and everybody. And that's just the way it kind of works out. So MLK, get down there if you want to see some of that one. That's something you can see and do. Let's see what else we got here. Hometown. Oh, yesterday I talked about this real quick. I wonder if they got an update on here. They do not have an update. So, it's a hometown hero. That's what it is. This is a change. Yesterday we talked about the teacher who got the $1,000. What do they call it when they give you that? Not a reward, but you know what I'm talking about, guys out there, if you can remember. She got the $1,000 from some center for being one of the best teachers, and she's probably going to pour it back into her kids. Well, this is a hometown hero. The West Lafayette intermediate teacher receives the Golden Apple Award, and that's exactly what it was yesterday. So this is the other teacher, Celeste Fernandez, who is getting it. And it says here, this week's hometown hero is West Lafayette intermediate school teacher Celeste Fernandez. Mrs. Fernandez received a Golden Apple Award from Greater Lafayette Commerce this week. And that's exactly the same award that was in the article yesterday, but for the teacher who was out at Dayton. Now, she spends most of the days, this is back to Mrs. Fernandez, she spends most of the days after the bell running clubs for students to continue learning and embrace their creative sides. Second to parenthood, she said, this is, I think, the most important impact you can have on a kid's life and the joy that they bring. To interact with the kids every day, to see them growing into hopefully the best versions of themselves is really just the most rewarding job ever. Miss Fernandez says the $1,000 from the Golden Apple Award will be used around the classroom, and she hopes it gives her a cushion to be able to start grad school to learn more about teaching. So she's doing a lot of the same stuff that the teacher from yesterday did. So great news there. Two of the hometown heroes and the uh, teachers around us that are getting some much needed awards. And just that we love our teachers. We know that we love our teachers. All right. Let's see if there's anything else here new on Star City. We talked a little bit about some of the things that were there in the last few days, like the Wabash River Enhancement Corporation to update the Two Cities, One River plan, and they're going to be doing that. This has a small update on it, just happened. Two Cities, One River Master Plan is a public presentation and discussion will take place on January 29th, 5:30 at the West Lafayette Public Library. Residents are invited to learn more about the project and share their opinions on it. So there's where you can get yourself into it and let people know what's going on. And you can learn more about WREC, which is the Two Cities, One River Master Plan comes from them, which is a West Lafayette urban central reach area. And they're online and on Facebook, and there's some links there at Star News where you can get to those. This one was interesting. I looked at it yesterday. I don't even think I talked about it because I'm an artist. Oh, I'm not an artist. I like to think I'm an artist, but I enjoy making things like that, right? I'm a novice. How's that? Novice at best, right? But there's a collection that's going to be shown from Alice Baber or Bobber. Is it Baber or Bobber? To be displayed on February 17th. Here's where it is. Exploring the collection, Alice Baber will be displayed at the Art Museum of Greater Lafayette on February 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. Baber is an abstract expressionist painter. Speakers, historians, and writer Gail Levine will discuss Baber's life and artistic influence. Additionally, Levine will be signing books for the release of Alice Baber, An Artist's Triumph Over Tragedy. So, might be pretty interesting if you want to do that. February 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Art Museum of Greater Lafayette. They've got a picture of her here, of some of her art real quick. Let me see if I can get this for you guys. I'll just pop it over here onto the big screen and we'll show it real fast. And that's her abstract art. And I do kind of like that a little bit. For me, the colors draw me in. The colors of the blues draw me in right away. So that's the type of abstract art that she is known for on that front for her. So, not a bad deal if you like art. That's someplace to go and do and see and enjoy, I think. Sorry, got to grab another drink because the old throat is going again. All right, so that was updated just in the last few minutes on that one. We've covered those. Let's go see what's over at WFI real quick this morning. They're still running the bronze state of the state from 2 days ago. Hasn't been updated since last night. Here's something that was new from last night. A woman at the Well Recovery Home making a difference in Logansport. This got to be a great story, right? From Logansport, a year since Tisha Medina was arrested for possession of methamphetamine, her life has taken a complete 180. She now manages the Woman at the Well Recovery Home in Logansport. It's a recovery home for women just like her, leaving incarceration and addiction in their past as they get each other back on their feet. Ah, great story. I never thought, this is Medina talking, I never thought that I would actually get out of the drug life and the hustle of everything. And her name is Tisha. I feel very loved. My kids, my mom, I'm rebuilding all those burnt bridges. That active addiction took me down, and I couldn't be happier, really. Do we not all have somebody in our families that we know that's struggling with some kind of addiction, one way or the other, right? And and a lot of them have recovered from, but they always have these, I call them shadows that are in your past. For me, it's my chronic pain. It's always there. For someone who's had an addiction, it's always in the background. Will I go back? Will it happen again? And so many of them that have recovered have that always there. And people looking at them, thinking about them for certain things. And she's trying to do something about this to help others as she's gotten away from her addiction. It's a pretty good story. She says, this is Mike Osborne. Mike and his wife Veronica started Women at the Well, and he runs basically runs the place that she's running it. He's kind of started it. A lot of ladies go back to what they know, and if there's nothing different, then they'll always go back to what they know. Support, 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 support. When someone goes into prison, someone goes into rehab, when someone goes into some place to try to make themselves better, if they come out and their family does not support them, if the people around them do not support them, they are going to go exactly back to where they were. That's almost a guarantee. I would say that's 90 to 95% because there's no one there to help and be with them. But if you come out and you have a support system, now you drop your numbers from 90, 95, probably down to 40 or 50%, right? Because you now have a support system around you to help you. And more of us need to do that, especially with some of our family members. And some of our family members, I've heard many people say this: I've had enough. I've just had enough with that person. And that's it. I'm done with them. Okay. If that did they still need your support, right? And what you're telling them is that they're not worth it anymore. And so that what are they going to think when they come out of prison or they come out of rehab or they come out of somewhere? Well, my family's already written me off. That's what they're going to think. So we need to be there for them. Now, you can do that as your family, as a friend. Your church can do that. You can get help in a lot of your churches around the area. And so I would say step in there and do that if you can. Now, Tisha said this: if I can do it, anybody can. You just have to want something more than getting high or using. So, Women at the Wells has a few remaining spots for women to live there. You can apply for residence on their website. And again, they're in Logansport. That's in Logansport. Women at the Well. Good story there. Nice story from last night. They popped up on there. Here's one, local one. Hoosier filmmakers have opportunity to win grant money. Ah, cool. First off, how do you write a grant? How do you get it to somebody you need? I think that's a job in its own, right? And I'm sure there's people that do that. But the Hoosiers filmmakers have the opportunity to win a grant from HUDOX, Indiana, Humanities Heartland Film, and Free Press, Indiana. Lyft will offer 5,000 grants or $5,000 grants to five filmmakers. Is it my tongue getting in front of me today? I am stumbling over everything. Lyft, which is the organization that's going to do this, will offer $5,000 grants to five filmmakers to create high quality short films that feature stories of Hoosiers who have a vision for how to strengthen their communities. If selected, filmmakers or filmmaking teams have 2 months, April 15th to June 15th, to complete their films. In addition to financial support, Lyft partner organizations will provide mentorship opportunities throughout the process. Lyft invites stories that center on a single Hoosier or small group whose actions, perspective, or presence meaningfully contribute to their community. The story does not have to be a dramatic or heroic one. It could simply reveal something genuine and illuminating about how people strengthen, support, or uplift one another in Indiana. The final films will premiere at Heartland Films Indie Shorts Film Festival in July 2026 and will be shared online via a media partnership with Free Press Indiana. Applications are due by March 15th. And I know the reason I'm going through this is I know some people who might want to get into this that are photographers, people who can make videos. I might want to do this. I've done this kind of thing in the past too. It'd be fun. So you need to go to the website at liftindiana.com for an in-depth guidelines, application instructions, and more. And if you need more information, you can email Rocky at Watch Hood Docs. Let me see. Watch Hood Ox. There we go. WatchHoodOx.com. Just as it sounds. Just hard to read. That's all it is on that front. So there's some of the local stuff. A Hoosier filmmaker, if you want to get into that kind of thing. There's options out there. They're talking about shifting years of Indiana's city elections. There's some talk about that all over the state. And then some more of the news. Frankfort police are searching for some guy who's missing. This is from a couple days ago. His name is Jeffrey Wayne. He's 39 years old. Officials with the Frankfort Police Department are searching for a missing man. I'm going to pop his picture up here too, if I can do that. Let's see. Let's switch over real quick. All right. So here's his picture. The Frankfort Police Department are searching for a missing man who was last seen earlier this month. Jeffrey, as I'm just reading the story there right next to it, is described as being around 5'6" and having brown hair and eyes. Blackstone was last seen on January 10th wearing a gray sweatshirt, black and red plaid shorts, and a gray baseball cap. If you have any information, contact the Frankfort Police Department. So if you've seen this guy right here, go ahead and see if you can get a hold of Frankfort Police Department at 654-4245 right there. So hopefully we can find him and get him back to wherever he needs to be. And then we'll see what happens for him through that kind of thing. It's nice when we can actually pop the picture up on the screen and you guys can see it and maybe you recognize him and maybe that'll help, right? Here's another story. Wow, this is a couple days. I didn't see this one yesterday either. Linton dentist recognized by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources or the INDNR, INDNR, for those of you hunters out there, you know what it's all about, for setting a state fishing record. So the Indiana Department of Natural Resources Fish of the Year program is recognizing Stephen Collette, a Linton dentist who set a new FOTY record with 17 FOTY winning catches, eclipsing the mark of 15 Fish of the Year. That's what FOTY is, right? Fish of the Year winning catches set by Lee He of West Lafayette in 2022. Stephen's Fish of the Year catches included a 22 or 25.5-inch channel catfish. He caught that on Goose Pond Fish and Wildlife area. I haven't been up there at Goose Pond in a long time. It was a nice place to go up there. I enjoyed hunting up there too when I was a kid. He caught a 22.25-inch sawguy from the Whitewater River in Franklin and a 21.5-inch brown trout from a private pond in Greene County. The Collette name also appears 5 more times on the 2025 Fish of the Year list, as Landon, Stephen's 9-year-old son, caught 5 winning fish. The largest of Landon's catches were a 28-inch black buffalo from the Wabash River in Sullivan County and an 18.5-inch shorthead red horse from the Tippecanoe River in White County. The elder Collette said fishing with his son makes him think back to his childhood and helps him shape his son's future. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's a great picture of him and both guys holding their fishes, his son too. It sounds like they do a lot of fishing together. Well, for me and my son, we played a lot of sports together. I caught him when he was playing baseball. He watched me play softball. We did all kinds of things together sports-wise. This guy is fishing is his big deal. So that is awesome story there. Man, there's a lot of great stories. It's Friday. Maybe that's what it is. Something to do with Friday and being able to have those stories. All right, what else we got on here? I'm going back up to just their main page to talk about a few things if you haven't seen what they have on there. It's 10:20 right now. I'll probably cover some weather here in just a few minutes, and then we'll get into some global stuff, right? We'll get into some world things that have been happening, and there's been some starts and some stops to different things in different parts of the world that may affect us, may affect the entire globe. But generally speaking, right now it's fairly quiet compared to what it was just 2 days ago when it looked like we might be storming our way through Iran to help the Iranian people out. So I'm going to shift over now back to weather. We'll go back to that and we'll talk about the forecast coming up. I'll try to make this one a little bit quicker. It's 10:21. Last time I went 30 minutes. I don't know if we want to go 30 minutes every time, but we are going to cover some of the data as more information comes out on the models too at this time of the day too. So right now it's 29 degrees outside. It's cloudy. Winds are out of the south-southwest at 12 miles an hour. It is unrestricted. I don't see any flurries, although there's a chance in the next hour or two as that wave starts to move through that we saw on the satellite, and then we saw it on the radar earlier. Let's go and take a quick look at the updates to that. Here's the satellite picture. We see the big broad swath of the satellite picture. I put the cursor on Lafayette right now. You see to the north of us up over Lake Michigan, northern Wisconsin, there's a low pressure system there. We saw a trough in Ohio that passed through overnight, just brought us some flurries, didn't do much of anything. That was good, kept the roads pretty decent. And then we can see the swath that comes across Michigan, across northern Indiana, and then swings across Illinois and into Missouri. That swath is a trough cold front coming through that will come through in the next couple of hours and bring the potential for some snow showers and some light snow. We're not expecting heavy accumulations of it at all. Everything should be a quarter inch or less, just a dusting for most people, but it may drop your visibilities for short periods with some gusty winds as it moves through. That's where the satellite is. So Now let's look at the radar and see how it's approaching. There it is, coming right in Lafayette right now. Some of these lighter colors looks like it's already been snowing in a couple places, a little heavier off to our north. The back edge of this is still back by Champaign still, and some heavier amounts back down towards Terre Haute and back off towards Effingham in Illinois, back in that direction. But it looks like it's going to drag itself through the Lafayette right about here in the next couple of hours. By noon, it probably clears out on the backside. You don't see much there until you get farther north. And this looks to be a little too far north to get to Lafayette, but we'll keep an eye on it. Looks like that'll swing through maybe just getting to Rensselaer, but definitely northern Indiana for the batch that's to the west of Chicago. Chicago being here, there's that batch there for that front on that system and where it is. And you can kind of go back to the shot. You see the front coming down here, extending down all the way into Missouri, and then the cold and the lower clouds on the backside of that. And there's probably light snow and light flurries there. No big reports of any tons of precipitation now with this. I'm going to go to Illinois real quick here and just update this one. See if it updates to 15 Zulu, which is 10 o'clock, right on the money. And we see a little less snow in Illinois now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6, 7 places reporting some light snow. In Illinois, Midway Airport is, Chicago O'Hare. So that's that batch of clouds up to the north. Springfield reporting a little bit. And then it's already past Champaign and Danville, so they're not reporting anything. So when we go back and look at the radar up to the north, remember I said there's probably some light snow in here. Midway's reporting snow, which is roughly there, and O'Hare is up in this general area here. In Illinois, and they're reporting snows. We're kind of in between the stations here. So let's go and check out Indiana and see where we're seeing some of this snow here real quick. So we'll change our states and we will go to the raw. We'll go to Indiana. There it is. And then I'm going to line them up so I can look at them a little better for me. And what I see is, look at this. We're starting to pick up snow. There was no snow being reported last hour, except I think in Gary here, light snow. MGC, OXI. I'm not sure where all of these places are off the top of my head. They're not coming back to me. Rensselaer and South Bend are reporting both some light snow in them. Everybody's showing around 10 to 12 knot winds, with a few places showing 15 to 18, and a few places in single digits for wind speed. So the snow is just starting to get into the state. It's going to cross pretty heavily and pretty quickly, I would think. If I go back to the raw METARs and I look at each one from each different place, I can see the visibility is a lot easier. For instance, in Gary, it's a half a mile statute mile of visibility in snow and fog, right? And they're overcast at 300, but they are right next to the lake, and the lake affects everything that's going to happen there. So Gary, half mile visibility. If we got somebody driving up there that's watching, keep an eye out for that, for visibilities there. Yet we see 6 mile visibility, which is not much. That's not bad. Unrestricted is considered 7 miles or better. MGC's got 1 mile. All right. For them, they're at 1 mile on light snow. Here's 3/4 of a mile, and 1.5 miles in light snow up in Rensselaer in that area, with 10 statute miles also. So those pretty consistent once the batch is over you. Here's Valpo, half a mile snow, and they're also freezing fog. They're getting freezing fog because it's cold. That's up near the lake also. So you can kind of pinpoint those spots pretty easily when you go back. And then, Valpo's like right about there. Rensselaer's right over in here. So you're going to see as you go up the I-65 corridor at the moment. Once you get north of Rensselaer, it starts to clear out, but there's another batch behind it. South of it, the line is going to kind of come through and cross across I-65 heading towards the south. So if you're down towards Frankfort right now, maybe it's not too bad yet. All the way down towards Lebanon's not even seeing snow currently, but you will be seeing it shortly if you're moving up and down the I-65 corridor between Indianapolis and Chicago. So let's take a look at the model and see what it's saying about all of this information. Let's go straight to the precipitation. All right, I'm going to look at the winter precipitation types for the colors, obviously, on this. Is this the HER? Nope, it's a GFS. We're going to go to the HER. And I'm going to come in real close for us. I could run along here on the 12Z and kind of show you where everything's at, see how the system goes through, Lafayette being right here. And then we see the snow kind of swing in tonight and just scattered spotty stuff. It's exactly what happened last night. We'll just keep an eye on it to see if anything pops, and not a lot is there. But now let's go zoom in a little bit closer and see what we can see on our sectors when we get in real close, because it just kind of gives us a better idea. And I feel more comfortable about what I can see. Lafayette being right about here, and it's showing the wave kind of coming over us right now at this time frame. 17Z is that's noon. All right. That's noon. So there's noon. We go back an hour. There's 11 and 10 or 11 right here. You can see how that wave is coming. But there's more snow down here. We know the model's not quite picking up that amount of snow. So in the next couple hours, by the noon time frame, look at that. It kind of passes us, doesn't it? Noon to 1 o'clock. Gone. We see a little bit of the light scattered snows up towards Chicago showing up on the model. And then everything kind of passes off to the east. And we get just warm enough. You could see some sprinkles. Um, it does hold most of the precipitation with those sprinkles off to our west. And by the time they get there, but you can see a couple spotty spots. So, and that's where my concern with black ice is tonight. We've had a little bit of snow here or there. The roads are just a little bit damp in some spots, and then we might get a little bit of sprinkles and some more light snow on top of that, and we'll have to look out for some black ice tomorrow morning. And overnight tonight, here we are, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight. We have some more snowfall coming in close to us as another trough approaches us. And like last night and probably during the day today, it could be a little hit and miss on whether you get a little light snow or you don't get any out of it. It doesn't look like it even snowed at my place up here at Battleground last night. If it did, it's just flurries, wasn't much. And then it kind of clears off. And then all day Saturday, it's just like cloudy and kind of gloomy and some flurries off and on during the day, some gusty winds. Tomorrow evening, it looks like there's a better chance for some very light snow to pop up. And you also see it's the same thing, streaks. We're seeing tons of streaks. So nothing is consistent. That means lots of flurries to me a lot of times. So that's why we've been saying a dusting to a half an inch. And today I'm even saying less, more like a quarter to a dusting for most of us, with some spotty places that are a little bit more. And that could be Lafayette. I mean, that does happen. That's all it is. But then it clears off by Sunday morning, and we're looking pretty good, at least on that front. Let's see what the totals are, snowfall in the on this. And you notice it says 3/10 of an inch for Lafayette. You can find a half an inch, even 7/10 to our south. You can even find an inch, but it's in these streaks, right? And the streaks are only 10 to 20 miles wide, and you're not going to be able to forecast exactly where that is. Just remember there's some potential there. The vast, vast majority of us are going to get a quarter inch or less, it looks like, as this stuff moves through, with a half inch for most of us being the tops. So that's where it looks like on that front with that system moving through tonight into tomorrow. And then there's a lot of big changes coming. We'll be a little warmer today. Let's go back to the temperatures real quick. I'll put us back to about our time frame. That's noon. All right, let's see here. Surface temperatures. So we're hovering around 27. The latest shows us at 29, right? 29 degrees. This is this morning. There it goes, pops to 30 degrees at that's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So you can see we're climb up into the mid to upper 30s for a little bit. Hence those spots of sprinkles. If something comes out of the clouds, it's going to be sprinkles, or just a light drop of rain here or there, but it could wet the road just enough in some areas. And then the temperatures pretty rapidly drop off tonight. Here we are at 9 o'clock, and you can see we're still hovering around freezing, but then boom, by midnight, in comes the cold. And we know there's some snow potential during that time frame tonight, off and on. And then by tomorrow morning and during the day tomorrow, you're just hovering around 20 degrees. So here we are at 8 o'clock, it's 25. Look how it's dropping. It's actually dropping to about 19 to 20 before it rebounds a little bit around noon and just stays around 20 or so. So tomorrow, chilly, and it shows a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind. So you're going to have wind chills of 0 to 10 tomorrow. Going to be a very cold day tomorrow, and again, gloomy, some flurries in and out. Just if you're going to the ball game, bundle up. Make sure you got yourself protected from the cold, because it will be one of those kind of bad days. And then Sunday morning, depending on how much of the clouds clear out, right now, the fact that it still shows us fairly warm, I know blue doesn't think warm in your head, but 13 is warmer than 5, right? So, so think of it that way. This to me says they still show cloud cover over us at that time frame, because we'll still be in the teens. If the clouds clear out, you're going to see spots like this, 7, 5, 6 degrees Monday or Sunday morning. And then Monday morning, that is definitely going to come in store and it will be on there. Let's see if we have any new updates from the 12Z on the NAM or the NAM Nest first and see what it says. Sunday morning, it says 12 also. And then what's it do on Monday? Then it pushes it out Sunday night. And then you see it's just more of the same. When you change the NAM, you start to see what it does Monday morning. This is the cold day, Monday morning. If you remember on Monday and Tuesday, we were looking for Sunday. Now you see how it's shifted, the longer range forecast had shifted out. And you can see single digits right there Monday morning. 6, Rensselaer shows 5. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is more like 2 to 4 degrees, and especially in some spots around us locally. And then it rebounds a little bit on Monday afternoon. Let's see. This is 21Z, which is 9 o'clock Zulu, which is now, of course, 4 o'clock locally. Only shows the high temperature on Monday to be around 13 degrees. So going to be chilly. Going to be cold. That's the definite thing that you can get from that. How about precipitation? Is there anything really jumping around precipitation wise with that on Monday? Let's see what's going on there. Nope, it's all to our north, right? All to our north with that system right there. So a little something bumps through. What time is that? That's Sunday evening. A little something, maybe some flurries possible just to our north, kind of goes. Remember, the model kind of has been hit and miss. Yesterday, it showed lots of stuff, and the bottom half really didn't come through very well early this morning, like 3 o'clock. But then it showed less, and it looks like there's snow popping around the area right now for the wave that's coming through now. So when we're on the tail end of the waves, sometimes they still catch it, even though it doesn't look like it shows precipitation over us. Something to keep in mind there. And then let's go on the GFS. Now the GFS is only at 6Z. How much of the 12Zs come in? Only 2%. So we got to go back to the 6Z. Not much of it's come back in yet. And we look in close, we can kind of see what's going on there. Here we are now, the next couple days, in and out snows. This jumps at 3 hourly, so I'm moving along 3 hours at a time. Now I'm on Saturday afternoon. There we go, into the evening, a little wave. So it's just showing a little light snows. We're not seeing any big systems, but watch what happens as the week goes on next week. Still the same thing, more of the same. Uh-oh, there's some rain that pops up, right? What is that? That is Wednesday evening. So this is not 10 o'clock, 2200 local. And then, there's a chance for some light rain there. Just a little bit. Not really the big thrust of the system until here it comes. There we go. So now we're talking Thursday night into Friday for precipitation. You have rain to the south, snow to the north, and then there's this big swath of ice in the middle of it. That's what these colors are here. Mixture of snow and ice, all ice back here. What does that do when it gets near us? Now it stays right now. It's saying it's staying south of us. But the low, which is down in Kentucky around Evansville, depending on where it tracks, will be dependent on what happens to us snowfall wise. Right now, that shows us in the snow. And you want to see how much snow that is? Let's go back to the 24-hour look at the snow from the system. And there we are. Now it's showing us 6.8-inch potential for snowfall for that first system. That would be Thursday night into Friday. All dependent on where the low pressure system tracks. So I don't want you to be scared about it right now. I want you to think about it and be prepared for it. I'll have updates on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, and we'll figure it out as it gets closer and closer. This system on Monday or Tuesday was started off on Monday this coming week. Then it moved it to Wednesday or Thursday. Then it moved it to Saturday. Then now it's come back to Thursday, and it's around the Thursday time frame. But remember, that's an entire week out, so there's going to be some variances on that. But it looks like Thursday night into Friday we could have some potential. But here's the bad news. Watch what happens. The snow moves off. And then look at it, it gets all the way to 7 inches in Lafayette. Then look what happens right behind it. Here comes another one. And boom, another 7 inches, 6.9 right there with 7.5 just off to our east. That would be 15 inches of snow between Thursday night and Sunday morning right now is what it looks like. Let's see what that system looks like when you go back to the precipitation type. And I bet it does the same thing. The low, yep, there it goes. The low on Saturday follows the first low, goes almost the same spot. The ice is almost in the same area. The snow is, as a matter of fact, it's a little farther south, the second low, and we are in the snow the entire time frame. So, might be time to get them shovels out, scrape them off again for some heavier snows, your snow blowers. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. It has been on the forecast for 2 weeks now. It's just varied on the days that it's been there. So, now we're within a week, and it's getting closer, and it's gonna fine tune it. That still could mean the low drops way to the south and we don't get anything out of it too. Remember that? Or it comes much, much farther north and we get just rain from it. But right now, it's got us in the snow and it's got us in some heavy snows. And so I want you all to be prepared. I know some of my friends, my family are out on the road doing some trucking and that kind of thing, and they're not in the state all the time. And that's going to be something that definitely will affect them potentially at the end of next week, them and their companies. And then way out on Sunday the 6th, there's another system that kind of pops through, but that's Sunday, February 1st. That's 3 weeks from now, isn't it? Or 2 full weeks. That's way out there. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. But this back here, when it comes through Thursday and Friday this coming week, we're way back here. There we go. Friday, January 23rd. The ice is really close. Lafayette's right here, and we're on the ice, and the snow ice mixed line is really close to us. And we're in the mostly snow category at this point. That's something we definitely got to keep an eye out on and watch for the potential there for different things to happen with that system as it gets closer. So there you go. I was able to keep the forecast down to less than a half hour. That was about 20 minutes. That's my rushed version. It has updated. It is now snowing out at the airport, and it's 30 degrees on the updates on the temperatures. And let me see if the satellite picture. Maybe I'll come back to that. It does show the snow pretty much right on our doorstep. Let me go back to that for you real quick so you can see it, and then we'll get done. So I did still do a little bit more. Lafayette's right here. You can see the real thick. There's a good thick patch of it right there. Now, here's some of the problems you get with the radars. There's a radar down in Indianapolis. There's a radar way out in northeastern Indiana and one over in Joliet. There's a big hole in between here. So sometimes it exaggerates what's actually happening here in Lafayette, and sometimes it doesn't pick things up. So it just depends on the settings on that. But this color is definitely going to be dropping some snow to the ground. And sure enough, the airport has started reporting snow currently at 30 degrees, 11 miles an hour on the wind. So that's what's going on there. We'll keep an eye on it. I'll give you another update probably in about an hour, and that'll probably be the full update too. I will go through just about everything on that if I can get a chance to do that in the next hour or so. But I did promise you we would talk a little bit about what's happening in the world. My grandfather taught me years ago to pay attention to what's happening in the world because it affects us here. It kind of got me interested in news. Um, I had my gruff period where I got upset about everything all the time too, just like a lot of people do. But I think I've kind of mellowed, and I feel like I can talk to people. And I'd love for you to chat in here if you have an idea on what's going on and what isn't going on. Um, and I want to know your opinion on some of these things instead of you hearing just what I have to say, right? And I feel like I'm in a good spot there. Now, that can be misconstrued many times. You can say stuff like, "Hey, I understand what you're doing, but this is what I think." And I've seen this so many times, then that person takes offense. And I just told them I understand what they're talking about, but this is what I believe. So I'm supposed to listen to them, but they can't listen to me. You see the points. I see that a lot. I don't understand why people are like that, but they are because we kind of anchor ourselves into what we believe, and we will not give it up even when we see a vision of it on a video. We won't even give it up, and that doesn't matter whether it's political or any kind of difference between people. You'll see that kind of thing. What is it? We just grab on and we're like, I'm not giving up on this until until something actually happens to make me give it up. So, all right. Are we still getting out there? All right, we still are. I got one of them spam calls. Anybody else getting spam calls right now? I'm getting tons of them spam calls right now. I tell you what, it's crazy all the spam calls I've been getting. And I know what it is because I'm a VA. I have a veterans loan, and they're calling about trying to get me an interest rate that's much, much lower. So my phone keeps going off over here twice in the morning, twice in the afternoon. I just let it go. Kind of get tired. Susie and I answered one yesterday. And as soon as I told the guy it's not low enough for me, bam, click, it was done. It was gone. I was like, well, that's kind of rude. If he calls back, he's never going to get me because in 6 months I might want to use it because then the interest rate might be low enough to refinance. So he's missing out. He's missing out, is what he's doing. So that was kind of funny when he did that to us yesterday. So she's like, go ahead and answer it. I was like, I don't want to answer that guy, but he did. So what else is going on? So we still have the shooting that happened in Minneapolis. We're still having people react to that off and on, and people are attacking the cops and the ICE agents in Minneapolis. And something else is going to happen. It's like they're pressing to make something happen, right? And that's kind of how she ended up having the incident that she did, and she ended up dying in that incident because they were pressing them, they were pushing them, trying to get a reaction. Well, you can't almost run a guy over and not get some kind of reaction, I guess, right? So that's what happened there. There was some ICE agent was taking down a felon. This guy had done some pretty bad things, from what I understand. And as he did that, three other guys saw it. They came out of their building, started beating on the ICE agent, who then had to pull his weapon out, and he ended up shooting one of the guys. I think it was the guy, the illegal that he was um, with, because they were on top of him. And then everybody scattered. I don't know who's been caught in any of that, but that's what happened last night or during the evening yesterday. Um, being attacked, being attacked by people just coming out with apparently they had shovels and brooms and some other things, and we're trying to get that point across that they didn't want him on there and get him off the ice. Well, that's breaking the law right there, correct? You're aiding and abetting a criminal right there, trying to get them off there. You're fighting a ICE agent who's basically a police officer. Um, so we got to watch out for some of these things. People are just, man, I got to go help them. Let it stay out of it, right? When they say get out of the car, get out of the car. Put your hands behind your back. If they say put your hands behind your back, what I see every time is, okay, the person is fighting the cop. We don't see them with their hands, just putting their hands behind their back and getting handcuffed. And I do know that's happening because some people are doing that. We keep seeing the videos of them fighting the cops. Stop fighting the cops. Again, I talked about this yesterday. You lose your platform when you can't stand on the roads on the sides and just explain what you're talking about. Instead, you have to attack police, block roads, hurt people, and that kind of thing. You lose your platform. People stop listening to you. When will you understand that? Because you have turned off half the country. They aren't listening to anything you have to say. And you might have some great stuff to say that's correct. And it's at least stuff that you believe is correct, but nobody's listening to you anymore. Even your side, some of your people aren't listening to you anymore. Regardless of what you see and how you hear, oh, so many people, okay, we're not paying attention to you because you're not protesting properly. You're not doing it the way it should be done, right? Instead, you're attacking people. You're blocking traffic. You're hurting people. People have gotten killed because of what you're doing. So find your spot, go to wherever you're supposed to be, do your protest, get your signs out there. The media will still show up and talk to you. Get your points across. The only point across I'm getting right now from all of this is we're okay to attack police as much as we want because they might kill us, or they might do this, or they might do that, and everything's illegal. Everything's illegal. Come on, you know it's not illegal. What they're doing is legal. And if you didn't attack somebody or get around somebody, something won't happen like the guy getting shot again last night, who was running from the officer, was being apprehended, and three other guys came out to attack him. So, here's a story that will get a laugh for everybody because I love this because both sides are laughing about this. Here's what I see. Machado, remember, she got the Nobel Peace Prize instead of Trump. She is the maybe incoming Venezuelan opposition leader who may take over as president there once they have elections. The Nobel Peace Prize, she gave her, I believe it's a It's like a necklace banner with something on it right there, right? The Nobel Peace Prize itself is on it. She gave it to Trump because most people around the world believed he should have had it for all the things he had done last year to help and stop, and that she hadn't done any of that. But she even said that he deserved it more than she did. So she gave it to him yesterday, the Peace Prize, and then of course the Nobel Committee gets upset. They issued defiant messages after they did that. They took pictures with it and everything. The president posed for a photo in the Oval Office, smiling widely as he held the prize and stood next to Machado, the leader of Venezuela's opposition party. All right. The Nobel Committee then sent a pointed message out reiterating that its prizes cannot be revoked, shared, or transferred to others in the wake of Maria Corina Machado gifting hers to Donald Trump. Oh, wow, you can't give that to somebody. We know we gave it to the wrong people. You see what I'm saying? So now the left is all laughing. He doesn't deserve that. That's not right. Ha 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 ha. That's so stupid. And on the left, they're saying that. And on the right, they're saying, ha 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 ha. See how you get so triggered by something so stupid as a Nobel Peace Prize and the offer of a Nobel Peace Prize to somebody. So both sides are laughing at each other. And I could see both sides of it. It's kind of funny. Those of us in the middle get to laugh at both of you guys and through most of the things. That's what's pretty funny. So if you're on the left and you're laughing at Trump because you think, oh, he don't deserve that, and the Nobel Peace Prize Committee says he doesn't deserve that, blah 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 blah. How stupid he is, ha ha ha. Well, the right side's doing the same thing. Ha 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 ha. See how triggered you get over something so small, right? Something that's meaningless to anybody else. It was just a photo op, is what it was. There you go. Get yourself triggered. Wait 24 hours to 48 hours, see what happens, let the dust settle, and then figure out where you're going to go with anything you see in the news anymore. That's why when I read these, you're getting a little bit of both sides, and I'm talking about what could happen or might happen. And I always say wait 24 to 48 hours. All right. And there's a couple other guys out there that say the same thing. Um, the Nobel Peace Prize medal. So this is from the Nobel Peace Center. It measures 6.6 centimeters in diameter, weighs 196 grams, and is struck in gold. On its face, a portrait of Alfred Nobel and on its reverse, three naked men holding around each other's shoulders as a sign of brotherhood, a design unchanged for 120 years. A medal can change owners, but the title of the Nobel Peace Prize cannot. Okay, great. So she gave it to him. She's still the winner. No one said she wasn't. But why is everybody so triggered over it? Because you can't get out of your TDS. Can't get out of your TDS. And then the right's all triggered because they think it's funny that you can't get out of your TDS. So both sides are laughing at each other. It is funny to watch both sides do this. And both sides don't seem to understand it. Only a few people here and there seem to understand what's going on with this kind of stuff. And I'm no expert. I'm just trying to tell you what I see. I try to keep things basic as possible. As a weatherman, you got to do that. I can't go, well, you know what? That storm's coming in, but there will be a bubble that sets up over the city of Chicago, and that glass bubble will keep Chicago from getting any rain in the next 2 hours, even though the thunderstorms are right there. It's an electronic bubble that goes over. Yeah, okay, can't happen, right? But I look at it and I go, this is here, this is here, this is here. That's part of being a weatherman, right? That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm going to say stuff you don't like, and I'm going to say stuff you love. So just depends. And it's going to go both ways, both sides. All right. Um, I guess that's the sign of someone who's supposed to be level headed. I ain't level headed. I don't know about that. Sometimes I can get in an uproar. I just don't do it like I used to. That's kind of the way it is. Here's a story that popped up yesterday. Carolyn Levitt, she is the spokesman for Trump. She was kind of furious at a British journalist after he asked a question, and it was very pointed towards left wing and a hack because he called people specific names and specific things. She was furious. There's video of it all over the internet right now. She berated the Hill's Niall Stanage as he grilled her about the killing of 37-year-old Renee Good last week. But Stanage asked this: 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly? And Levitt shot back her own question. Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed? And then the reporter, he blew it. He put his opinion in there. The reporter, taken aback, said, "Oh, you're asking me my opinion?" She said, "Yes." So then he said, "Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably." So he knew he shouldn't have done that. Some of your major anchors will try not to do that, especially in a position like that. He shouldn't have said anything about it like that, but he blew it. And so then she laid into him. And then, she then launched in ferocious person. I mean, she laid into it. She didn't. She just started berating him, talking to him a little bit louder. She wasn't yelling, screaming, nothing like that. But she called him a biased reporter with a left wing opinion and stating he should not be in the press room because he was posing as a journalist. And that's what happens when you give your opinion towards that instead of shutting up saying, "I'm a reporter. I don't have an opinion," which is what he should have said, probably. Right? Fox News, CNN News, BBC, doesn't matter. You're not supposed to have an opinion. You ask a question, it shouldn't be tainted one way or the other on purpose. And he started off with that, and then he went and said his opinion, which is definitely tainted. So she went on to say, "You shouldn't even be sitting in that seat, but you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left wing activist. And the question that you just raised in your answer proves your bias." Um, so, do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? And she said, "I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories or check on it. But I bet you never even write about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungari. Nungare. It's Nungaray, and I've been struggling with all my words the last few days. These were innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our community safer." She then added, "Shame on people like you in the media who have crooked view and have a who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're real honest journalists. Good. A mother of three was shot dead after driving her car at ICE agent Jonathan Ross, who was attempting to arrest her for blocking the road with her SUV during protests against Trump's immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. The FBI is investigating her death, of course. Tensions rose further overnight. Again, when I talked about that shooting that happened with the agent overnight, when those three guys attacked him when he was trying to arrest somebody. So, um, so that's where we are, at least on that front. um, I'm not even going to get into that. Thropples. We ain't going to talk about that. How does that make the news? Uh, Thropples unveils a bill about discrimination against people who are in thropples. People, where are we going? Come on, stop yourselves. Will Americans follow new dietary guidelines? Well, we'll have to see on that, won't we? They're trying to do the right thing. JFK's trying to do that. JFK Jr. or RFK Jr., excuse me, is trying to do what he thinks is the right things. And they are discussing with doctors, regardless of what you're being told, that RFK is doing this all on his own. He works with doctors and people, and they try to figure out what's the right habits are for people and then gives us some ideas. Everybody knew 10 years ago that the pyramid was incorrect and was hurting people based on the fact that we have gone to much, much more processed foods. For one, that's part of it. And the processed foods aren't doing well for people. And so more of a greener type food is more optional, right? But the pyramid wants you to have bread and all these other things, and you don't need them necessarily. They can be bad for you at times too. So they've given out all kinds of different ways to eat. They've got a new pyramid. They're talking a bit about when to eat, maybe some intermittent fasting. They put out all kinds of details. It's pretty interesting, and it's on the government sites for the FDA that you'll find a lot of that information on there. All right. Remember we talked yesterday, and this is still funny. I find out this right now. Trump invasion of Greenland would spark Republican impeachment. GOPer warns. What GOPer is stupid enough to believe that President Trump is going to attack Greenland? I can understand it from the left side. They're just using it to try to make Trump look bad. But if you're on the right and you stupidly think we're going to attack Greenland, there's something wrong with you. Even the people in Europe who are on their chairs screaming and yelling, "You can't do this," and they're sending troops in. You know how many troops they sent in? Less than 13 troops from 4 different countries. Like one sent in 4, one sent in 3, one sent in 2, and 2 others sent in 2 that to stop the United States because they know we're not coming to invade them either. But here you had Republican Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska claims a U.S. invasion of the Arctic island might go too far and could prompt his party to launch a third impeachment against the two-term president. Triggered. I'm laughing at the congressman who's not thinking. I'm laughing at the people on the left who aren't thinking and are believing this. I'm laughing at the people on the left who are trying to use it for political gain. And I'm laughing at the people on the right who can't see that there's maybe some importance for Greenland. There is an importance there. They have all kinds of stuff there that we can use, right? And we definitely need at least some bases. And I think we're going to at least get some bases. We may take over in governments for them or help them with it. But my guess is we're going to kind of be over them and their people are still going to run it. Not the Dutch people, but the Greenland people. They're not going to lose what they have. And we're going to give them some cash, it appears. I'm going to move to Greenland so I can get the $500,000. Anybody else up for it? We can go squat. Maybe we can go squat in Greenland for a day or two, and they'll give us 100,000. Maybe. So, so there you go. I think that's the idea. Who's got some plans? What are tickets to Greenland? Let me look this up. I got to look this up while we're talking here. We got to go off the rails, right? It's free for all Fridays. Tickets. Let's go to Travelocity. All right. Just happens to be one of the sites. You can go to any site you want. I'm not panning Travelocity unless Travelocity wants to give me some money. Then maybe we'll do that. That's a joke. All right. Big January deals. But where are we going to? Let's go to Greenland. All right, Nuuk, Greenland. All right, and we want to go. Let's go in a couple weeks. Let's go February 3rd and come back on the 10th. So we're going to go for a week. 2 travelers, 1 room. We don't need the room. Just the flights. There we go. 1 traveler. How much is it going to cost me to get to Greenland? Nothing. They don't show anything. So that's kind of weird. I thought you would be able to get there. Let's see if I switch it to 2 and it looks more like a vacation. Same thing. Edit search. These airports may not have regularly scheduled flights or there may be restrictions. My guess is there's nothing on that day, right? That's what it probably is. So let's go to the 4th to the 11th, which is a Wednesday, and try it again. No, nothing. How about weekends? 1st to the 8th. This is pretty funny. Nothing. There's no days you can get yourself to Greenland. It's kind of crazy. Maybe it has to be farther out. So let's go. March into April. Stay a couple weeks. All right, nothing's coming up, at least on Travelocity. But I know you can get yourself to Greenland. You got to get a visa and stuff to go there and all that kind of stuff, but you can get to Greenland. Why you can't do it on Travelocity, I don't know. Let's go with what other places out there can we use for flying? I'm just gonna type in fly cheap and see what happens. I know Travelocity will come up. Just Fly. Let's try Just Fly. See if they can get us there. Indianapolis, going to. It does show Nuuk, Greenland. Let's start on departing date. Let's go with 18 February, coming home on the 11th of April. We're going to set those dates. Well, let's go with 2 adults. Roundabout trip, and it says we can't get there. So, well, nope, it's searching. There we go. Cheap airfares right out of Indianapolis. It's still running. We can play the music now. There's a best. Here's what they want you to do. They want you to call somebody on this one. So that's what it is for Nuuk, Greenland. Nuuk, Greenland. Hard to get in there. No flights found. Search for a flight. That's what I want to say. Search for a flight. When? So that bummed me out. I thought that might go somewhere. How much? Can't be that much to go to Greenland, can it? Well, here's like some hotels. I got that up here on TripAdvisor. 126 to about 200 and well, there's one $482. Um, so that's TripAdvisor showing us for hotels. That ain't too bad, hotels wise. It's comparable to the United States, right? You can find some cheaper places in the United States, but all right. Where else does it have anything else on this filters? No, we don't want pets. We don't want any of that stuff. All right. That's just for getting a room for TripAdvisor. What else does it say about Nuuk? Nuuk, Greenland, located only 150 miles south of the Arctic Circle, at the mouth of the group of fjords. Nuuk, the capital of Greenland, is the perfect starting point for a whale watching trip, a dog sled ride, or glacier exploration. Daily flights bring visitors to a land that has been inhabited for over 4,000 years, but you can't get into a standard one and get a flight there like through Travelocity. You're probably going to have to go through a vacation person that helps with you with that, or maybe you have to get in touch with Greenland. I'm not sure. The National Museum and Archives exhibits collections of rare Norse and Inuit archaeological artifacts, and they showcase a contemporary Greenland art and music area there. That's for them. All kinds of things to do. There's a famous church here. There's beautiful raw scenery. This reminds me a lot of McMurdo down in Antarctica when the water's open in front of Antarctica. Just beautiful scenery at the time when you're down there. So it's showing hotels, but it doesn't tell me anything about getting a flight. How about just type in flight to not Antarctica, to Nuuk. It says $30 Newark flight, our cheapest Newark flight. Just that can't be. That can't be right. $30 Newark flight, or is it just trying to get me to go to the site to check them out? Add a date. How about any date? Departure date. No, they're just trying to get me to come back to their website. Flights to Newark, kayak.com. Flight deals to Newark. Nonstop flights, round trip to RBA. Is that what Newark is? I told you, free for all Fridays. You never know what you're going to get into. This is from Cincinnati to Newark. I don't know why this is on kayak. All right, well, let's search. Let's see what it says. And it says it gives me a comparison for Priceline, Just Fly, ASAP tickets. No flights found, of course. Modify my search. Well, it's too soon. I try to go too soon. Let's go 24. Oh, is that the day? To that day. All right. Now I'm back out in the time frame. I pushed it out into February. I think those are dates that they had flights on there. They had different colors on the dates, which was different from Travelocity, which had nothing. It just had blank dates. You can't tell. It's going through. It still shows nothing. Let me try one more, and then I'm giving up on this, and I'm not going to Greenland. Let's try some of the green days. 17th to the 23rd. Let's make it like a month. Make it look like I'm going to stay there a long time. Nothing. That's it. Can't get to Greenland based on this. I'm sure we can. You have to go through it and look at it for a while to figure out how to get the information to go to Nuuk, Greenland. That's it on that one. I've had enough of the Nuuk, Greenland, but we are not attacking Greenland, people. So if you're laughing about Trump saying that, you're not right. And if you're laughing that we might do it because you think he's going to do it, you're not right either. We're just negotiating with them. Remember, he takes everything to the extreme, tries to get something here. Our politicians do that a lot. On the left, they're really good about that, shooting for up here and taking down here. On the right, they kind of shoot down here and take lower. I don't know why that is. It just happens to work out that way when I look at both sides. That's kind of how it generally works out. Is one side wins a little more than the other, and generally speaking, it's the left-leaning liberal side that wins those battles. It seems like to me, anyway, most of the time, and the Republicans are kind of weenies. All right, I said no names, but that's just a funny name there on that one. Nothing major there on that. So that's kind of a lot of the news. Let's see if anything's updated. I want to get back into Iran and some things like that again here soon. See what happens there. Uh, Obviously, here's what I also find funny. So President Biden, President Obama, Bush, them guys, they can come out and say one thing. They can listen to their advisors and change their mind, and nobody says much of anything. Okay. They say, well, I heard this, we did this, we're going to go ahead and do that instead, right? When Trump does that, he's all of a sudden an idiot. Well, he said, so right now he doesn't like what's going on in Minneapolis. Well, he's seen it. He understands it. He's observing it, trying to figure it out. Of course he doesn't like it. That doesn't mean he didn't send the people in there for the right reasons. And it doesn't mean he's not going to leave them there because he probably is. But that doesn't mean he has to like what's going on either. Okay. But that will be, it says he suffers a meltdown. And he flinches as ICE shooting and AIDS panic. Nobody's panicking. Who's panicking? He doesn't like it, of course. And he's will change his mind on things. Look, we were getting ready to go into Iran, or at least we were telling them we were going to do that. And then we backed off, right? We may still go into Iran, but he's willing to change and make changes. And he has said that in the past. Why can a president not do that? I tell you right now, if President Biden had gone into Afghanistan and then as it was getting bad like it was, he said, we're going to leave 2,000 people here, like most people said should be done, and his advisors were telling him, we wouldn't have lost our 13 people probably. That's a strong possibility. The country would still be stable, and we would have got out most of everybody out of there without hurting anybody. But he didn't do that, did he? He wasn't willing to change. He wasn't willing to change. Now, that doesn't mean Trump isn't pigheaded about stuff too, because everybody is. But no, so sometimes you can't stick to your guns. I'm guilty of it too. So let's see. Major 6.0 magnitude earthquake strikes West Coast with shocks waves felt across major cities. Let's see where this is. All right. I'm looking at the map. It's off the California coast, I think. Yep, a magnitude off the Oregon coast, so a little bit farther north. But there's been a lot, it seems like in the last week or 2 weeks of different places along California there where they've been seeing like swarms of earthquakes as the ground is moving and the faults are moving. Right now, they put a 37% chance that it'll happen at any point over the next 50 years. The big one, 37% chance. So, that's kind of, I mean, I used to live out in California. It seems like every week we would feel something small, right? It was always there. And there were a couple big ones. I can remember the one that hit up in LA, some, what was it, car parking lot areas came down on kind of squashed things below it. A couple buildings went down. Some people were killed. It was centered in a city that starts with an N, I think, but I can't remember the name of it right now. Is it Norwood? I'm not sure. But we were down in Camp Pendleton. I was at the weather office, and we felt it down there. So they're getting like a 7 up there, but we're feeling like 3.5. And these big hangar doors. If you've seen hangar doors before, they're like 70 feet tall, 50 to 70 feet tall. They're probably 15 feet wide, and then they kind of come out one at a time, and they just kind of move along on a pattern, right? And then they go back the same way, right? Kind of like that. Well, that earthquake was big enough even there with just the 3.5 or whatever we kind of felt from it compared to what they did. And the hangar door started banging against the building, and you could hear it hanging. And I remember Gunny, one of the gunnies in the office, his eyes got about this big, and this guy was like 6'7", so his eyes got like this big, and he said, "Get out of the building now!" And he's telling everybody to get out, and we're running out. And I think that was probably my first big earthquake, so we're talking like 85. no, 86, late 86, probably 87 is when it was, 1987. 1987, not 1887 out there, those of you joking around. So that was a while back, but it was kind of funny seeing Gunny get all excited about the earthquake when the doors started banging against the building. You can understand it. Sometimes things come down, but that hangar is still there as far as I know. um, Here's something that just popped up. X is down. Elon Musk's social media platform crashes for thousands of users around the world. Now it says thousands. How many is thousands? See if there's anything in the story here. I don't know if you're on X or not. I get in and out there. There's a lot. You're going to find most of your news there quicker than you'll find it anywhere else. You gotta kind of go through because everybody's allowed to say and do as they want. You're going to find lots of crazy people on there from the right and crazy people on there from the left. You kind of got to get through that. I see so many of these things that pop up and then the next day it's gone, no, because it wasn't true, right? Hence the wait 24 to 48 hours. And then I also see people chasing their tail thinking it's true sometimes. So it's kind of funny too to see that on both sides. Let's see. Looks like it struck the UK a little bit more with the X going down. We will provide updates as necessary, they said. X is down again. One user posted this. I hate this when they say a user posted. Okay, that's one person out of how many? A user was upset. Well, I can find 3,000 things that say everything's perfect and one person says it's bad. And if I pull that one out, everybody thinks everything's bad because you pulled out the one thing, right? Surprise, surprise, X is down again. Threads is so far superior, whatever that means. Me not stressed about X being down because I'm on Threads. So this is people, whatever Threads is, which is another company, I guess, right? Says X is down again, but this isn't Great Britain. Geez, I wouldn't be surprised if Great Britain shut down X. The people in Europe have been talking about getting rid of X because they don't like free speech. They don't want free speech. They want to control your speech. So there you go. You got that. Hey, should we talk about Taylor Swift? Okay, so what it says here is no, don't read this, Brian. That's what it says. I see it right there. So I'm not going to. And here I come. I got another one, spam risk coming in on my phone. So uh what else we have for news? This one is kind of scary. I don't know if I like this at all. New low for Chicago as a snuff movie. If you don't know what a snuff movie is, it's a movie where they actually show somebody killing somebody. Is filmed on one of crime-ridden cities' subway trains, and it's just somebody got stabbed with a big knife, and they got videos out there on it. Don't go looking for it, folks. But what are we doing with our world when we're doing that kind of thing again? Isn't it bad enough? We see it. What 2 months ago, a woman stabbed on her throat slit on a train, just sitting there minding her own business, right? There you go. Oh, and she, what is? There it goes. Sorry about that, guys. The phone call blacked everything out. Just trying to make sure I'm on the air still and I can still see what's going on with me. See if it goes to live on there. Well, it won't on that one, but so like 2 months ago, that poor young woman sitting on the train, she's just reading and looking at her phone, whatever she's doing. That guy kills her, slits her throat from behind. She's out pretty quick, right? And then it happened again shortly thereafter in another instance where someone just randomly killed somebody out of nowhere. Um, where are we going with all these kind of things where people are acting like that and think it's okay that they can just go and kill somebody for no reason, or here having a snuff movie filmed so they can show other people. I don't know if they get some kind of kick out of it, but stop your kick, turn yourself in. Go turn yourself in. That's what I say. All right. So, all right, here we go. This is a bummer right here. Baseball is dead, claim livid fans as free spending Dodgers sign new star player to take payroll over $2 billion. Their payroll's over $2 billion. And yes, they got Kyle Tucker from the Cubs. I mean, he's a free agent. Cubs don't, I think the Cubs don't get anything out of it. Maybe they get a draft choice or something out of it. That's about all they get because Kyle's able to go out on his own because of the contract that he had. So now he's going to the Dodgers, who just won the World Series. So they're picking up another bat. Um, and they're $2 billion. They're way over the luxury cap. Well, there should be an extra level for them so they can pay more money back to whoever or whatever it is. Makes it hard on your small places like Kansas City. Kansas City, that's a tough one to play baseball when the team coming in on you has a payroll of 2 billion and you have a payroll of 180 million. That's it, right? So, man, that's a rough one. So it looks like he's going to be heading over there to the to the Dodgers, and that upsets a lot of people because they're basically just buying their team. They're paying whatever their fine is for spending too much, and they're buying whoever they want. And they kind of defer money and put it in different places. And then I keep wanting my team to do it right. And my team did pretty good. They've already picked up some people, and I'm pretty happy with what's going on. It took forever. It took till last week before we found out they got a new starting pitcher, and they brought in Bregman to play third base for the Cubs, who was going to replace basically Tucker's bat, who I think will actually hit more home runs than Tucker, based on some charts I saw this week, which showed that he would have hit like 20 more home runs if he had been in Wrigley last year than he did because of the way the configuration of the Red Sox field was with that big wall. Sounds like he hits a lot more of a trajectory that's lower, more of a liner. Decent penetrating trajectories for his home runs, and he probably hit that wall 20 times is what happened. Well, most of those look like they're out at Wrigley. So we'll have to see what that is. I'm excited about Bregman coming to the Cubs this year to replace Tucker. Let's see what else is going on. I'm looking at some sports things. I don't know why there's sports things on here right now. And then there's some goofy things. I'm trying to find anything about what's going on over in Europe or what's going on in Iran. We still have some of the ICE reports and the thing about the lady who got killed last week. There's big football games coming up this weekend. I haven't even talked about those, have I? Maybe that's why we're starting to see some of these on here. When you start to think about, let's see, I'm going to go to ESPN here, folks. NFL playoffs. The playoff bracket looks like this. Now, who's your favorite team? The Broncos are playing the Bills. They'll be playing them tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. They're on CBS or Paramount Plus. And then the Patriots are playing the Texans. Nope. On January 18th. That's on the AFC side, and that's on ESPN/ABC, it says here. That's at 3 p.m. Then on January 17th at 8 p.m., which is tomorrow night, the Seahawks take on the 49ers on Fox. And later on the day on Sunday, the evening game at 6:30 is our Bears taking on the Rams. That's on Sunday, and that's on NBC Peacock. So you can watch Purdue tomorrow. You can watch the Bears on Sunday. If you like any of those other teams popping up, you can see those 2 games tomorrow and 2 games on Sunday heading towards the Super Bowl on February 8th. So they'll play this week. That'll leave 4 teams left. They'll go 2-2 on each other, NFC, AFC. Those winners will go to the Super Bowl. So games again next week, then they take 2 weeks off. And they play February 8th at 6:30 on NBC or the Peacock. Peacock is taking over sports, but I just don't want to pay the money for it. Maybe they'll understand that one of these days, huh? In there. So statistically, I don't know who's got the best chances to win here or there. I do know, like, before this weekend started, the Bears were way down on the list of chances to get to the Super Bowl and to win it. But they came back against the Packers and won, and they keep coming back all season, and we'll be looking for that all season, I'm sure, at this point. So that's what we'll be thinking about. And what will we see this weekend? Probably some really good football again. I'm starting to get back into it again. Purdue's getting a little better. I'm excited for them for next year. And the Bears have played really good this year. Been very exciting. I know a lot of Bears fans around here. And we're sorry for your Green Bay fans, but it's our year finally to do something. And we actually won a game in the playoffs this year. So there you go. Bears heading towards this week's playoff game, and they'll have a tough one. But what I do like is when you look at it, when you go back and look at the playoff bracket and it shows it, guess who's coming to town? All right. I'm going to show you this here. All right. Here comes the bracket. So the Rams are coming to town. The Rams are a warm weather team, correct? Let's take a look at what the forecast is for Chicago during the game Sunday night. I'm going to pop it up on here real quick. Actually, I'm just going to go back to my charts and look at it real quick. I've got it on here. I'll just let you know what it says. So I'm going to look for the surface chart. I'm going to the temperatures. I'm going to try to figure out what Sunday night is. Sunday morning, single digits up in Chicago for Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon into the evening. Let's see, is this a new one? Yep, it's all the way in. And there you go. 19 degrees, 18 degrees, and getting colder. See if the NAM goes out just a little farther. It does. It shows 18, and that would be at 7 o'clock. What time the game starts? 6:30, I said 6:30. 18, 19 degrees, 11 by midnight. So somewhere in there, they're going to take a frontal boundary. It looks like it drops dramatically. It's warmish, stays the same, and then some little front, and I can kind of see it on the chart there. So very cold, maybe some wind coming in. If the timing's a little off, might be really, really cold. And those warm weather teams don't play good in the cold. Was it Miami or Tampa Bay's record is like Ofer coming north? Yeah, it's tough on them. Wouldn't mind seeing some snow. It does bode well for the Bears winning and using their running game because they have a strong running game between their two running backs. Been using it all season and doing some good damage with it, at least for them. So the Bears are in the mix there on that. When we start to think about Purdue again tomorrow, what are the ladies doing too? The ladies have been doing pretty good lately. They got a big win last weekend over Wisconsin, and then let's see, and then they downed Washington. That's who it was. So they went to Wisconsin. They won a game. Then they came back and they beat Washington. And it seems like they're off. I don't know when their next game is. Let's see if I can find it here for you guys real quick. It's usually at the end somewhere. Cannot see it anywhere on the front here. No related schedule. I'll just go to schedule. There it is. All right. 2 days, 5 hours, 35 minutes, and 35 seconds for them to play Southern Cal right here. So they're playing Sunday at 5 p.m. if you want to go see one of the women's games. There you go. You could catch that and get back and catch the second half of the Bears win and see 2 victories in one day as Purdue takes on SoCal on that day. They are 10-7 right now, 2-4 in the conference. They started off 0-4, so they've won their last 2, and they're on a 2-game win streak. They're 9-2 at home, so they play pretty good at home, but away they're 1-5. They are a building team, but it looks like they're going to try to push their way. They went out pretty decently here. Only losing 3 or 4 games might get themselves into the women's NCAAs. Katie Gerald's trying to do what she can to build that team back up and make it something that's very viable back for when they won. Yes, if you don't remember, if you're in your only 30s or younger, you may not have known it, but the women's team actually won the NCAA basketball championship way back when, 25 years ago, when I was at the TV station. Can't remember the exact year, but that was when Tennessee was winning every year, right? The Vols were like juggernauts, and Connecticut was a juggernaut. It was either Tennessee or Connecticut every year, and then Purdue snuck in there and won a national championship. It was very exciting, very fun to see. Just don't remember the exact year off the top of my head right now. So they play on the 18th. SoCal's coming here, and UCLA is coming here. So the men go out there, but the women come here, right? That's kind of how they're doing it. And that game on Wednesday, January 21st against UCLA is at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, the game is starting at 10 p.m. Oh, it's out in Los Angeles. I got it wrong. There we go. Both of them now say Los Angeles on here. What did that say before? Okay, so both teams are out there right now. Let me make sure I got this right. That's Wednesday. Yeah, Sunday and Wednesday. Now it says Los Angeles. Where did I get that up before? Oh, there it is. Okay, when I went to the clock where it says 2 days, 5 hours, it's at Southern California, it says. That's what I missed. So both teams are out on the West Coast, traveling, and they're going to be playing ball games. Men on Saturday, women on Sunday. Men on Tuesday, women on Wednesday. Both the Tuesday and Wednesday games are late, and both the Saturday and Sunday games are mid-afternoon. So something to keep in mind if you want to watch some sports. You won't be able to go to it here in town, but you'll be able to watch it on TV. I'm not sure if the ladies are on the Big Ten network or anything along those lines. But there is plenty to see sports wise after that, then because then they'll come back to town. Men or the men were here for 3 games straight there for a bit. So a lot of things going on, at least on that front. And then the men, go back to the men's team. I think there's some wrestling going on. The wrestlers have been doing pretty good. Let me check out the wrestling. Wrestling. Purdue closes the road stretch at number 18 Maryland and number 21 Rutgers. It was this week, I believe, is when they're going to be doing that. Looks like they'll be adding 2 All-Americans on there. And it looks like they've been upsetting some people off and on. So that's good. The wrestling team's doing a pretty good job too, it looks like. What's their schedule look like? All right. They have 7 hours, 32 minutes. So today they are wrestling at Maryland today. They are 7-2 overall. They have a 1-match losing streak. 3-0 at home, 4-2 on the road, like most teams are. Don't know if they're ranked right now. They played at Cal State. They were ranked 24th. And they won. They got down to 22nd. Won. They're down to 20th. There was something was canceled. I'm not sure why one was canceled. Then they lost to Drexel. Won against Ryder, beat number 7 Nebraska, and they're still rated 20th based on that. So they're rated 20th, and Rutgers is 21st. Maryland is 18th. So all these teams are comparable, very close to each other. All right, go grapple out there, get some points, and pin some guys out there. All right, that's what we need from that front on those guys. It is 11:30. We're closing in on the last half hour. The free-for-all Friday continues. I've talked about everything from weather to sports to trying to get a trip to Greenland. Who wants to go to Greenland? Come on, we can do this. Somebody come up with the numbers and send them to me so I know what's going on in the Greenland trip. So if you're out there, check it out. Just tell me about it when you get a chance and chat it out. So I'm 2 weeks into this. We're trying to figure out, do we go different times? Do we try different things? Maybe not as long. 3 hours is pretty long for me to talk. I'm really okay with that if there's lots of people in here chatting. But if it's just me talking, then it's going to be rough. First off, it's going to be rough on my voice. Tough sitting in a chair, just kind of doing that for 3 hours straight. When you see talk shows on the radio, and this is kind of what I wanted, was that for Lafayette, because I didn't feel like there was anything in the mornings for Lafayette. So I wanted to be a talk show about local stuff that can spread out to worldly stuff. Of course, I give you an in-depth weather forecasting, and we talk a lot of sports because Purdue's big here, and I love sports too. And I know you want to chat about those things. So you can chat on YouTube Live, no problem. If I'm live, tell me what you're thinking. And I get people in and out. Kingdom Mindset's in there today. Ray's been in off and on. I think Frank came in a couple times. I've seen Gunner on here. Obviously, people I know right now, because I've not really done anything to spread the word. I'd love for you guys to get out there and spread the word to different people about what's happening. And we'd be able to see what's going on with that. Great. And where's it going to go from here? Who's, do I bring in some guests? Do I talk to people? I got to work out this phone system to figure it out. I don't know if you heard the music this morning or not, but I just played that off my phone because when I play it on the computer, it doesn't seem to want to go into the system. Those little bugs and things like that, I got to figure out. And I just got to have the time to do it and enjoy getting into trying to do those things. Not my kind of thing. Be nice if I had somebody here pushing the buttons. Roger, where are you? So if Roger's watching, that'd be great. And maybe somebody else to talk to would be a little bit easier. That's why phone calls would be good and people chatting. People chatting is good because I'll just tell you what they say and then we'll talk about it. I did that this morning. We needed a forecast for Toledo this morning. We went and talked about that a little bit for tomorrow. And so it just kind of gives me an idea of what you guys are thinking. But I don't know whether this show should be at 6 in the morning to 9 or 6 to 7, just an hour, or if it should be, I don't think longer, obviously. And how do I get it to people out there? How do I tell people other than just on Facebook? And Facebook, I can't go live on Facebook for another 10 or 20 days because Facebook says you have to wait 60 days. And I set up my Facebook page like 40 days ago or something. I don't know the exact date. I'll keep pushing it to see when I can do it. So I'm only on YouTube Live right now. Now, three, four, five of you get in at any given time. Sometimes, like yesterday, 8 different people popped in and out to watch for a while. A lot of you go and see it later, that kind of thing. So there are some views on it. It's getting viewed. How do I get the word out to people? How do I make it better? Lead ins, better graphics, things like that. I know how to do a lot of that stuff. I just haven't gone and done it. And because I don't know where this is going to go, right? But I'm going to stick with it for a while, folks. It's going to be 3 to 6 months before we make any decision to stop. Now we might make decisions to change times, do that kind of thing. We might shorten it, right? I don't think we're going to lengthen it, but we might shorten it. So that's a possibility. And we'll see how that goes, really. And we'll see how people think about it, what they think about the show. Are they having fun? I like to have fun. I don't want to just talk about crazy things all the time, right? That was fun trying to figure out if we could go to Greenland or not, just right on the internet. And I think you can. I just didn't know how to do it exactly. Travelocity is you couldn't do it through that, but I'm sure there's places you can find that'll get you tickets to go there. That's how we ended up getting into a group to go to. We went to Egypt and then to Jordan and then to Israel, following the path of Moses. And of course, he didn't get into to the promised land, but up to that point, that was following him. And then we went into Israel and saw all of Israel a few years ago. Susie and I did. But we got on the internet, started looking around different places, and we came across a travel company that does these tours, and they were spectacular. We were on one of those big, really nice buses driving around to go see things, and the bus was only half full, which was awesome. Great people that were our guides that helped us out. Um, and we really loved it. It was called Pilgrim Tours. And so we've been getting back with them again. Somewhere down the road, eventually, we want to go to Greece and go through where Paul went through, and that ends up in Rome eventually. But we want to go back and see Jerusalem for a couple of days because we missed some of that because Susie got a little sick during that time frame. So we're going to try to tack that on there. And when we finally get an idea that what we're going to do, we're going to ask some folks if you guys want to go along with us because it's nice having people there with us that we know to talk to. We met great friends on the trip. Don't get me wrong. I baptized 10 people on the Jordan River. That was spectacular. One of the highlights of my life that will never, ever leave me was being able to baptize people in the Jordan River where Jesus was. It's very emotional for me. I tried to stay the Marine, hey, this is great, you guys, all that. But emotionally inside, I was thinking about Jesus and I was thinking about what was going on. And the people were excited. And it was, that was a fun morning that we went there and did that. And those were my first baptisms too. So that was a little stressful on me. Make sure I did everything the way I felt like would be right, and to give it its justice there that we were in the river. I think we videoed a lot of it too, so it came across pretty good. I think everybody was happy. It was so awesome to see the excitement in people's faces when they came up out of the water and realizing where they were. I think had something to do with that, right? Realizing what was happening, that they were getting baptized in the Jordan where Jesus was, and how it strengthened them on the inside. And even a couple of the people that there were, how there was 10 people, and I talked to all 10 of them a little bit about what they were doing, just short-lived kind of thing. Hey, are you sure you want to do this kind of thing? That kind of stuff. And the two people I was the most unsure about were probably the two that were mostly ecstatic when they got baptized, which was kind of funny. They were just screaming and yelling. They were so excited about what was going on, and that uplifted me even more because they were so excited about what was happening and what they were doing, following Jesus and getting baptized in the Jordan River. Where some of the other people were everybody was excited. Don't get me wrong, but those two, I was like, are they really into this? Or are they just doing this for whatever, right? Because some people do that. But they were excited when they got done with it, and the rest of the trip was awesome. That we still had 4 or 5 days left when we did that. We went down to the Dead Sea, and we went to Masada. We went up to Jerusalem, of course, and Tel Aviv, and beautiful to see the history of that area and the country itself, to see where Jesus walked. And when you're a Christian, it's just one of those things. They call it a pilgrim tours. I would call it a pilgrimage that we definitely wanted to do. So now our next one is, where did Paul go? And see that'll be through Turkey and Greece, and then eventually ends up in Rome, and where we get to go see the Vatican and that kind of thing. That trip's down the road. They're expensive, of course. Not as expensive as you would think, but like going, we went through what, 3 countries. We had to go through Egypt. We went through Jordan, where we went and saw Petra, and we went to Amman, Jordan. And we were walking in downtown Amman, Jordan. That was pretty funny, a group of us. And then, like, I think there were 10 of us, 8 or 10 of us, and we piled into some guy's taxi because he wanted to take us all, right? Because he could make some more money out of it. It was pretty cool. And we're all sitting on each other in different places. It was pretty funny. He got us all in there. I don't remember if it was 8 or 10 of us. It was at least 8 of us. So in this little car, small car. So that was pretty funny. Luckily, we didn't have to go that far. It was only a 10-minute ride or so because we had walked over there in the first place. But it was later at night, and we decided we were going to get a ride back from an Uber. And it was an Uber in Amman, Jordan. That was pretty cool. Or a taxi, at least, at the very least. I think it was an Uber call, though. But that was pretty funny that we got that when we did that. But then we also went to Israel. So we hit those 3 big countries. It was 2 weeks. It was 14 days, the flight over, the flight back, all that. And at that time, this is just 2, 3 years ago. I think we did that whole trip for about less than $10,000 for the two of us. For the two of us, not per person. That was 2 of us. Included the flights, food, which was breakfast and dinner every day, all the travel, all the money to get into every place, and was all taken care of through that trip. Um, that turns out pretty good for me. I think that that was really good and it worked well for us. We got to see, I don't know how many hundreds of different things that we saw on the trip. And I got a video that's 3 hours long of snippets that are only, 5 to 10 seconds and sometimes of the entire trip. I think it's at least 3 hours long. We haven't even sat down and watched the whole thing. We start watching it and then something happens. We end up going sideways. And so we've got that all on there. I would definitely tell you go to Jordan, go to Israel, and go to Egypt. Of course, the pyramids are awesome to see. We saw the Red Sea, and we saw the Dead Sea when we went to Israel. We got to go way up by the border with Lebanon to the north to Dan, which is a city in the very north portion of Israel. Now there was nothing happening then. There was you could go up there. You can't. I don't think you can go up there now to the north, but you still can take tours. I know someone's going in another month, so get out there and see if you can do that. When we get our tour, we'll let people know. Maybe you want to come with us. That would be exciting to have people come with us. And I know the church has a lot of people that travel in it, so that might be some people that go with us too. And it is kind of church related, but it doesn't mean you can't go. You don't have to be a Christian to do that. There were people on our bus trip, even though it was the steps of Moses up until Israel, that were not Christians. But most everybody on there was obviously for that exact reason. Out of the 25 or 30 people that were on the bus, probably all but 2 or 3, maybe 4 were Christians. So that's how that kind of worked out. Great trip. Get yourself out there and travel, folks. Get yourself out there and travel. God put so many beautiful things on this planet for all of us to see. And I'm trying to see every bit of it that I can. And now we're trying to see every bit of it that's in warm places because we're getting older and Susie is cold all the time. So that's kind of how that works out on that front. So any place warm, she's okay with going to. Me, on the other hand, I'll go just about anywhere. I've hit 6 of the 7 continents. I got to get to South America. Gosh, how can I not get to South America yet? Got to work on that one. I'm not big on the Carnival time frame in Brazil. What is that? February, kind of like where New Orleans and Mardi Gras is. But I would like to see the country. Probably Peru. Getting to Machu Picchu would be pretty cool. Although it's become very they put a road up to Machu Picchu. You don't have to walk up there anymore. They'll drive the bus right up to Machu Picchu, from what I understand. And that has inundated the place with even more travelers coming in. That's the one thing I don't like is when you go to a place. We went to a couple places and we were like the only people there, which is nice. You get to walk around, see what you want to see, and do what you would like to do. The crowds kind of get to me. It annoys me. Doesn't have to do all of us. That's because I'm getting cranky. I'm in my 60s now. I'm an old man. You know, I don't like them things. You kids get off my lawn. You get off my lawn. All right. my my family's probably going, yeah, that sounds like him. It sure does sound like him. All right, I'm gonna get back into the weather. What are we? 11:41. I'm gonna go into weather here. No matter what time I end, we're gonna end the show there. All right. Man, there goes the throat. All right, we're gonna swing over We're going to take a look at some of the temperatures. We're going to take a look at the charts again, see if anything's changed. Here we go. It's 31 degrees outside right now. At the airport is where they take the readings. Looks like most of the snow has stopped already. So it didn't snow very long. Remember, we said by noon it would be gone probably. When you look down at the daily stuff, it still shows a 25% chance for a couple hours, but it drops off to 1 and then it picks up. This evening a 24% chance, then drops off. We're talking flurries to a very light snow here, and we'll get into that into the charts. But then a colder day tomorrow, very cold on Sunday, and absolutely really cold on Monday. How about that? A high of 9 it shows on here. We may still make it to 10 or 11. We'll have to see. We'll get into the charts and see what it says. Single digit lows both days, Sunday and Monday, all dependent on cloud cover. Sunday, still clouds probably, so this might be about right. Monday may not have cloud cover, and we'll have to see which direction the winds are and the timing of where the high is to see if we actually can get all the way down to 4. It's a few days, still 3 days away. We'll adjust a little bit as we get closer on that front. As we take a look at it, here's kind of the big picture of where the snow is. And here's Lafayette. Is this showing me right about there? Should be right about there. Okay, there we go. Click on Lafayette so you know where we are. And shows that most of the snow is already passed off to our east. Still shows some flurries and light snow up to the north. And I'm sure there's plenty of flurries and light snow in really spotty areas back in Illinois, Iowa, as the next system starts to approach us from the northwest and brings us some more snowfall tonight. Very light accumulations, not expecting a lot on the front with this at all. And when we go to the satellite picture, you can see, sure enough, see how it wraps around and swings down across Lafayette. Lafayette is right about here, and most of the snows have already gone through with the system. And you can see a lot of cloudiness. This gray here are low clouds, different heights, and then you got mid-level clouds back here. There's some light flurries and light snow up near Chicago. This will rotate in towards us during the day, so we're going to get into this open spot with just the low clouds, and that could be some flurries. Maybe even a sprinkle or two if it warms up just enough this afternoon to see that as we get into the open spot here. And then you'll see that the model will start picking up on this system, trying to rotate in later on this afternoon and into this evening. Now, when I look at the radar right now, you can see it's gone past pretty much. Here we are right. There's probably still some flurries out there. I got no windows in here. I can't tell you for sure. But if you're out Logansport, Grissom, it's just getting there. If you're down south, Crawfordsville, maybe still hanging on or close to you there, but it's starting to clear out pretty easily. So now we're getting into the more of the idea of flurries and that kind of thing. And I'm going to switch over to the day cloud phase on the satellite picture. So I can see the high clouds, the yellowish color. This is a visible shot. They've just enhanced, like the ground has a bluish tinge to it, so I can see it easier for me in my eyes. And I can see open spots pretty easily. Lafayette being right about here where the interstate and the river come together right there just south of that, of course, is where most of Lafayette is. We look out to the west, and I do see some open spots of sun here or there. So maybe we'll see a couple spots this afternoon. But any of these low clouds in this area here could just produce some flurries. Also, as I look at this, it looks like it's starting to dry out a little bit behind this frontal system here. And as it does that, that could, again, give us a little more sunshine. And that could give us a couple extra degrees this afternoon temperature-wise, but not a lot of help on the front there with that. But that's what the visual looks like. Let's go to the surface chart. We're going to go back to the HER, which is the local one right now, the close-in one. It shows those temperatures this morning. What are we at? What did we say we were at? We were at 31 currently, and we are closing in on noon, which is 17Z, and it says we should be at 31. Hey, that's pretty close. All right. And then it just warms up 33, 37, 38, 38, right there at 38. Now let's go to one of the latest ones. That is the 15Z run. Let's see what else we can get on there. Is there anything updated besides that? Nope, 15 is the latest. It's all in there, and it does show that. And it goes out. It looks like there's even some 40s. Look at that, some 40s popping in there. That's why you're going to get some light rain when that system approaches from the northwest out on the front edge. But expect flurries for us as a possibility. Mostly cloudy and spots of sun off and on this afternoon. The best part of the day will be this afternoon, and then we'll be kind of in and out again for all the way out through Sunday morning, actually, most of Saturday too. Let's go on the NAM Nest to its latest run where it shows temperatures. We kind of kind of hit on that, and it shows there's those because it's going to go out a little farther. Let's see what it does for Saturday morning. Boom, it's got a temperature of 11 degrees. This is Sunday morning, excuse me. Get my days mixed up again. And then it doesn't quite go out far enough, does it? Nope, doesn't go out far enough to get to the temperatures for Monday morning. But I know it shows single digits. There it is. It's showing 4, 5, 6 degrees, twos, zeros, and ones just to our northwest. If it opens up pretty good, I could see that going. Remember, the model said 4 and 4. Well, look at here. If you those canned numbers that were on the first page, I go back to it right here. It says a low of 4 on Sunday and a low of 4 on Monday. This is just canned data that comes out of the model. They just take it and put it in there. It's a computer doing it. It's not even someone looking at it. So, but when you look at the actual model, it shows us 6 degrees on Monday. And what did it show us for Sunday morning? It shows us 13. All right. So you see how that there's such a big difference, why you really got to look at the data and try to figure out what you think is going to happen. Okay. So there can be so many big changes in the forecast. Let's go back to the precipitation, what it's going to look like. So here we are. I'm going to go to the NAM nest for the short range. On this front, it looks like this. The NAM nest, where are we at time wise? Here we go. We're closing in on noon. That's 17Z. It shows that wave going by us, right? Boom, there it is, going through. Not much for precipitation, Lafayette being right here, all right? Not for much for precipitation because we're in that open spot. And then boom, by this evening, right there, now you're talking 9 o'clock. We start to pick up our chances of light snow. Could be heavy in a couple little spots, but what I mean by heavy is a half an inch. In a quick little spot here or there. Most of us are going to see a quarter inch or just a dusting, light snow popping here or there, and that's about it. And this is the new run. Does it swing anything else in? So flurries off and on, and this goes out till Saturday night. And Saturday night shows another little wave trying to come through and falling apart as it gets here. You can see that. But that's something to keep an eye on, just some flurries. That's the same kind of thing we've been seeing, just little waves coming through. Looks like Saturday's panning out to be a little better. It still shows light flurries all over the place, though, and cloudiness. So get used to some gloominess, some flurries, windy conditions. Check the winds out here real quick. These are the gusts, and today we're in the 15 to 20 range for gusts. That's 20 to 25 miles an hour. That's not too bad. Stays kind of like that for a while. We don't see any big changes. What are we talking? This is into Sunday morning. Same. A little bit more wind. So nothing real major. There's some wind coming in. That would be Sunday evening. Look at that. There's a pocket of 30s right there. So that would be 35-mile-per-hour winds. The next time we see some really, really big winds, it'll be gusty annoyance, though. That's for sure. 10 miles an hour right now is like a drop of 10 degrees in your wind chill. So if it's 30 out there, it's going to feel more like 20. So you can see how that goes with that. Let's go back to Monday morning real quick. Okay, so 12Z right there. Look at you got a wind at 16 and a temperature around somewhere around 5 degrees Celsius. So you're going to have a wind chill of -10 on Sunday in the morning, and then on Monday morning, let's see what it says there. Goes out. This doesn't quite make it to the Monday morning, does it? It's on the other one, but that's kind of the way it looks. Let me hit that real quick. So we can go out two more. There we go. Monday morning. 12Z. It shows 6 degrees and it shows about a 15-knot wind right here. So same thing. You're talking -10, give or take a little bit, depending on where you're at, how much the gusts are. You're talking at the potential there. But let's go out real quick and see what I'm talking about for the end of next week. I'm going to hit this. I'm just going to hit the precipitation on it because it's so far out. It can't be counted on. But when we first saw this, and we're starting to get new data, I'm not sure if it goes out as far as we need it to. It started showing this system for next week on Monday, Tuesday. That was last Monday. Then it backed it up to Thursday. Then it went to Saturday. Now it's come back to around a Thursday, Friday timeframe, late Thursday night into Friday for next week. This is for next week now. We know we're going to get a lot of scattered light snow, flurries, a dusting, maybe a quarter, isolated spots, a half an inch for people today in the next couple of days. But let's go out, and we're looking at systems coming from the south. Let's see if anything's changed on here. So here we are on Thursday. And on the previous run, right about here, it started bringing up moisture from the south. And I don't see anything. So it's starting to change it again already. It's pressing it out. It doesn't show anything here. Oh, there it is. There's a system all the way out on Monday the following week. Let's change the scale. Let's go out a little bit farther. And there you have it, a system. So, if you were just, I was just talking an hour ago telling you that there's potential for it to go south of us still, um, and we'd stay out of everything, right? And that's what it looks like now, right there. It just keeps the system to the south. There's a little bit on which day is that? Now that's way out on Sunday night into Monday now. So it's backed it up another day or two, at least on this run. And big high pressure comes in afterwards and another system there. So the two systems that go by, one's now much farther south than it was before, so nothing. And the second one comes by, maybe drops a little light snow. Let's see what we can get for totals in 12 hours. 24-hour snow just says a half an inch. So we went from 15-inch potential on the previous run for this time frame for next Friday and Saturday to now nothing. That's why you can't trust on forecast out past 3 to 4 days. You can really trust 1 to 2 days. It's going to be pretty accurate. 90% of what I tell you is going to be good. Remember that. Just the problem is with people, our brains only remember the 10% that's missed. But now the farther out you go, the less it becomes accurate. And look how dramatically it's been changing this frontal system to the south down there. That also tells me another thing. It's going to stay colder, right? If that front can't come up and influence up towards us to warm us up any bit, we're going to keep that flow to the north, which is a normal winter flow. And we are going to stay chilly even after these next couple of days where it's going to be really, really cold. All right. So that's it. We got a storm that was coming and is not. I'll update you on Monday on that. We'll get it figured out because sometimes they change from run to run too. They do those big runs every 6 hours. So in 6 hours, there'll be another update and then another update. The 12 Zs in the morning usually are pretty good. And that's the one that just finished on that showed us this half an inch at that time frame possible. Otherwise, we're going to stick with the HER for close in when we're close in, and we're going to go out to the GFS for the long range stuff. That's what we'll do on those fronts on that. Right now, I think I'm going to switch back over and we're going to get out of here is what we're going to do. It's 11:54. Been a long week. Man, I had an MRI. I did all kinds of different things. I enjoyed sitting here talking with you guys, though. And I'm going to continue to keep on doing this. So hopefully you tell friends and start checking in, right? So that's a wrap on today's episode of Let's Talk Lafayette. We've covered the pulse of our community here in Lafayette and Purdue from, well, we talked about critical local incidents, like there was a car accident, things like that. We talked about leadership, Boilermaker athletic wins. We broadened our view with some national and world headlines. I didn't even really get into a lot of those today at all because it was free for all Fridays. We talked about trying to go to Greenland. Of course, as a meteorologist, I'll leave you with a reminder to brace for these cold temperatures and potential icy patches. Winter's grip is firm, so layer up and drive safe. And as your pastor, host too, let's close with a piece of scripture that ties into our weather forecast. I like doing that. And the endurance. Now, we named our missionary program Endurance in Belize when we went down there and had it down there. This because we need to have the endurance. We need that in tough seasons. So in winter, we think of that in the cold weather. But in Psalms 147, 16 through 18, it says this: He spreads the snow like wool and scatters the frost like ashes. He hurls down his hail like pebbles. Who can withstand his icy blast? He sends his word and melts them. He stirs up his breezes and the waters flow. Man, that just kind of tells me that spring's coming. Stay strong, stay in your walk with Christ, and you will be fine. May this remind us of God's power over the elements and our lives. Stay faithful, stay warm, and join me next time, Monday morning. God bless Lafayette.